We had been back together for about 2 or 3 months because the other guy that I slept with was 3 months prior to me getting pregnant.
With her and the other guy, it was more than one time. And then on top of that, it was at my mom's house, in our bedroom.
What?
Get ready for some of the wildest paternity court cases you've ever seen. We've got a grandma who thinks her son's wife cheated, a convict who may be a father, and a couple who were using drugs together and now have a baby. Let's dive in and see what drama unfolds.
Mr. Nevels, you are here today because you claim you are literally stuck between two women at war, your mother, Mrs. Latta, and your wife, Miss Coleman Nevels. Now, you admit you have serious trust issues with your wife, and you say your mother is only making things worse.
Latta, the grandma, is convinced her son Dominique's wife, Jessica, cheated on him while he was in jail. Latta claims Jessica got pregnant just 2 weeks after getting out of jail, and she even has the receipts. Jessica got another guy's name tattooed on her body during their break.
As soon as she got out, she came straight to my son, and 2 weeks later, she said she's pregnant. So in my mind, I'm saying, Your Honor, there's no way Nevaeh could be Mr.
Okay, so I
Neville's
think
daughter.
that begs the question, how pregnant was she in 2 weeks?
Your Honor, her and my son was nowhere near each other. She was seen on Facebook.
Yikes, that's a bold move. But Jessica says they were on a mutual break, so she was free to do what she wanted. Dominique, on the other hand, had no doubts the baby was his, even though he knew about Jessica's other escapades. This guy is either super trusting or super naive.
So we were able to do whatever we wanted to. It was a mutual agreement. And I feel
Okay, so you're on a break and you've agreed to it. It's paternity court. So during that break, were you sleeping with other people without using protection?
one other person.
One. Okay, so now, Mr. Nevels, were you at the hospital when the baby was born?
Yes.
Things start to get tense when Dominique admits he's been having doubts about the baby's paternity. He says he sometimes looks at his daughter and sees features that don't match him, like he's trying to find proof she's not his. Ouch, that's gotta sting for Jessica.
That is my son's child.
So, Mr. Nevels, do you have doubts now?
There's somewhat doubts from her admitting
Why?
that she had sex with guys. She cheated on me in the past with multiple guys without having any remorse of any type of feelings by cheating on me.
So, how have these doubts played out in your relationship?
I feel very doubtful when I look at her. Sometimes
You do?
It's like,
And then the bombshell drops. A random guy in the neighborhood told Dominic that he knew Jessica was cheating on him with someone specific. Dominic knows the details, so it seems like this other guy is legit. Jessica tries to play it off, saying she used protection with that guy, but Latta is not having it.
So, has anyone ever told you your wife was cheating on you?
yes, ma'am. It was maybe a couple years back when I was walking through my neighborhood. A guy stopped me and said, "Hey, aren't you Dominique?" I said, "Yeah." You go with Jessica Coleman? I said, "Yes." So, he started describing her areas, only specific things that.
The judge steps in to try and calm the situation, reminding everyone that mistakes happen, and the important thing is to try and rebuild trust for the sake of the little girl. You can tell Dominic is really struggling with all the doubt, but at least he's being honest about it. And now it's time for the moment of truth, the DNA test results.
Mr. Nevels, you are her father.
I told you. I never lied.
Feel relieved? Feel better?
It's a lot better. I feel.
Clerical fees in the amount of $50.
Oof, looks like we've got another doozy of a case on our hands here, folks. This one's all about a little boy named Wesley, and the question of who his real daddy is. His grandma, Miss Maldonado, is convinced that the man on the birth certificate, Mr. Marsh, ain't the real deal. And Mr. Marsh, well, he's got his doubts too.
He suffers from a severe case of autism. He's being raised by his grandmother and barely knows his mother and his father. The results of today's paternity test will help determine the course of his future. Mr. Marsh, you are listed on Wesley's birth certificate as his dad.
Yes, Your Honor.
Apparently, Miss Maldonado and her son went to Mr. Marsh's house before Wesley was even born, and straight up told him that the unborn child might not be his kid. But Mr. Marsh was young and in love, and he just couldn't bring himself to believe his girl would do him dirty like that. So he signed that birth certificate anyway.
A 1-year-old child outside in the cold just for me to be able to see him or for me to be able to help out with him. I pay my child support. I pay $269 plus money in my arrearments. I'm $13,000 in debt because of it, but I still, whenever I have a job, I pay the state for child support.
But as Wesley grew up, Mr. Marsh started to have his doubts. The kid just didn't look like him at all. And Miss Maldonado's family, they're Puerto Rican. So the little guy's dark features made Mr. Marsh wonder if maybe he wasn't the daddy after all. And then there's the whole issue of Mr. Marsh not being allowed in the house to see his son.
I didn't see a point of every time I went to go see my son to be threatened to be put in the ER if I walked through the threshold of the door.
So now, Ms. Maldonado, is he being threatened when he comes to try to see Wesley?
No, he is not. He's not allowed in my house anymore because when my grandson was 2.5 months old, he came over to the house and he disrespected me and my husband in my house, and at that point I told him.
Now, Miss Maldonado's got another surprise up her sleeve. A video statement from Wesley's mom, Jolene, and she doesn't hold back. She's straight up calling Mr. Marsh a deadbeat dad, saying he's never bought the kid diapers or wipes or anything. But Mr. Marsh came with receipts.
She's a habitual liar, so usually what she said I took with a grain of salt.
So, Mr. Marsh, you signed the birth certificate.
Yes, Your Honor.
So why is it you have doubt?
He just does not look like me. I'm all white. There's no any other kind of descent in my family. Jolene's half Puerto Rican.
And then there's the matter of Wesley's mom's neighbor, the guy who Mr. Marsh thinks might be the real father. Turns out this dude submitted a statement saying he's definitely not the dad, and he can't wait for the DNA results to prove it. But Mr. Marsh's own mom, Edelina, has some doubts too. Apparently the kid just doesn't fit the Marsh family's Scandinavian looks.
Or my grandchild was born, and then in the hospital, when he was questioning because my grandson was dark, because my family is Puerto Rican, I said, don't sign his birth certificate. And he signed it anyway.
I didn't have doubt at that point in time.
At that time you didn't, so you signed it.
I was 17. I was young and dumb and in love.
Whew, this is getting intense, y'all. The judge is trying to keep everyone calm and focused on what's best for Wesley, but it's clear there's a lot of bad blood and hurt feelings going on here. Miss Maldonado's saying she's willing to let the neighbor be in Wesley's life if he's the real dad, but Mr. Marsh, he's just hoping he can finally get his rights as a father.
Multiple friends, boyfriends, there you go.
Okay.
So
you are aware that your sister was with multiple men probably during the time Wesley was conceived.
yes, and I forewarned Eddie that if you do not know it's yours, do not sign the paperwork.
So you even warned Mr. Marsh.
Went to his house.
So this is
with
your
my
sister
mom.
and this is your
Yes.
daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, the moment of truth is finally here. The DNA results are in, and the judge is about to reveal who Wesley's real daddy is. Mr. Marsh, he's on the edge of his seat, hoping against hope that he's the one. Miss Maldonado, she's bracing herself, ready to finally get some answers. And the neighbor, well, he's just hoping he's not the one, because that's going to be a whole other can of worms to deal with.
Mr. Marsh, you are his father.
Does that mean I get my rights to him? And I can go without the threats and actually be able to get
Nobody threatened you.
I've sat on the fence for 5 years about getting the paternity test done because I wanted to believe that he was mine. Maybe I can have my rights to him.
That is all the past.
We've got a classic case of a grandmother who just can't accept that her grandson doesn't look like her. Miss Crow here is trying to prove that her son, Thomas, is the child of the late J.C. Turner. But Miss Reinhardt, the grandma, is having none of it. She's calling Miss Crow a liar and a manipulator, saying that the kid ain't her son's baby.
Miss Crow, you have summoned the defendant to court to prove that her deceased son, J.C. Turner, fathered your 2-year-old son, Thomas. You want Thomas to know who his father is, and you say that Ms. Reinhardt has done everything she can to sabotage your efforts. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Crow's trying to explain how she and JC met and fell for each other, but Miss Reinhardt's having none of it. She's saying that the timeline just doesn't add up, and that there's no way Miss Crow could have been pregnant that quickly. Grandma's got a sharp eye, that's for sure.
Ms. Reinhardt, you don't believe your son is Miss Crow's child's biological father?
No.
Explain.
For several reasons. In the time period, the time frame she said she was, when she told me she was pregnant, it didn't happen that way. There's no way she could have been just 2 weeks pregnant and had her stomach firm as she did.
And then it gets even juicier. Miss Reinhardt's bringing up how her son was schizophrenic and had stress seizures. Yikes. That's a lot to unpack. She's basically saying that JC wasn't exactly the sharpest tool in the shed, and that Miss Crow could have easily manipulated him.
I knew my son inside and out, and I just don't, as a mother, as a grown grandmother having 4 babies of my own. My gut tells me this is not my grandson. I do not see my son in that. I don't. I'm sorry. I don't.
So, Ms. Crow, can you talk to me about the relationship?
When I first met Jay, we were at a skate park. I noticed him in the parking lot and I called him over to me.
But Miss Crow's not backing down. She's insisting that JC knew the baby was his and was happy about it. She's even got some photos to prove it. But Miss Reinhardt's not convinced, saying that her son would have believed anything Miss Crow told him. Ooh, the shade is real, folks.
He would willingly do so. He never said anything rude or disrespectful to me. He was nice to me. He was very accepting. He knew this was his child. We were together every day.
He'd have believed you if you told him the sky was purple.
Well, that's your own opinion. That's your own opinion.
The mental capacity of a 16-year-old.
And this how, okay, and you know what? He had feelings.
He was schizophrenic.
He had feelings.
And then the real bombshell drops. Miss Crow reveals that she didn't even go to JC's memorial service because she was worried about having a confrontation. Oof, that's a tough one to swallow. She's basically admitting that she didn't want to face the family after JC's death.
And you believe this baby does not have that characteristic, which furthers your doubt?
To my understanding.
Me to the point in which the baby was born. Was JC participating in the birth?
Okay, so me and JC, at the time we were living together. It was March 2015. I have decided to no longer go any further in the relationship.
But Miss Reinhardt's not letting her off the hook that easily. She's grilling Miss Crow about how she could have just lost track of her own child's father. Grandma's not buying the excuses, and she's making it clear that she thinks Miss Crow's just in it for the money.
I knew for a fact that, you know, he's the father because I haven't been with anybody else. I was only with him in that time frame. He did come when my son was 3 months old. He came to see him. He had me take pictures on his phone with him and his son. And after that, you know, we went our separate ways and, you know, other things happened, but I was trying to take care of my family.
And then the judge steps in, trying to get to the bottom of this whole mess. She's asking some tough questions, trying to figure out what the real deal is. But the tension is palpable, and you can just feel the animosity between these two women.
The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Reinhardt and Thomas Crow is 99.6% you are related. Ms. Reinhardt, you have never laid eyes on your grandchild.
The plaintiff, Ms. Smithers, is convinced that her baby daddy, Mr. Stevens, is the father of her son Adrian. But Mr. Stevens ain't buying it. He thinks the kid looks more like the neighbor than him. Buckle up, because this is about to get messy.
Ms. Smithers, you have dragged the defendant to court because you are devastated that he refuses to accept that he is your son Adrian's biological father. You claim today's DNA test results will have a dramatic impact on your future as a family. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Stevens, you say that one look at you and the baby is all the proof anyone needs to see that you are not the father.
All right, let's break this down. Apparently, Miss Smithers and Mr. Stevens met when they were just teenagers taking GED classes together. They started dating and even had a daughter together. But then things went south. Mr. Stevens was cheating left and right, and Ms. Smithers started getting suspicious.
You know, like you can just type in a letter or you can go to the recent search and it would tell you all who you searched up on that phone. And like, so I would see her exes on there. So like, I didn't trust her.
And so this happy relationship,
it changed from, it went from being happy to everybody having trust issues.
All right, what happens? I mean, you cheating wouldn't land you in paternity court.
Now, Ms. Smithers is adamant that Adrian is Mr. Stevens' kid. She even claims they were back together when she got pregnant, and that the other guy was just a one-time thing. But Mr. Stevens ain't having it. He's been looking at that baby since day one, and all he sees is the neighbor's kid. He's got doubts, and he's not afraid to let everyone know it.
Because, you know, like, I found out that it was a boy, so like, you know, it was my first boy. I was excited about that. You know, like, I wanted a first child, like, as a boy. That's what my 2 daughters were supposed to be. But it ended up being, you know.
Your 2 daughters supposed to be girls.
Yeah,
I hate
like,
to break it to you.
Well, like, you know.
And
like
there's nothing
like
wrong with that. 5 months, she pops up and tells you, I cheated and this may not be your child.
The judge is trying to keep things civil, but you can tell this is really getting to Mr. Stevens. He's got tears in his eyes as he explains how he's been trying his best to bond with Adrian. But every time he looks at him, he just sees someone else's kid. It's gotta be tough, man. I mean, imagine raising a child you're not sure is even yours.
And that was the first time it happened, and then about a week and a half goes by, and then it was her birthday.
So, Ms. Smithers, you're saying you conceived on your birthday?
Yes.
Were Were you with Mr. Stevens around that time or only that time?
No, we were together. We were together for, we had been back together for about 2 or 3 months because the other guy that I slept with was 3 months prior to me getting pregnant.
But then the plot thickens. Ms. Smithers' best friend, Miss Craig, takes the stand and drops a bombshell. Apparently, Ms. Smithers had expressed some doubts about Adrian's paternity to her. Uh-oh, looks like Ms. Smithers might have been hiding something after all. Mr. Stevens is feeling validated, but Ms. Smithers is straight up denying the whole thing.
He's the lightest one.
Okay, well, you know babies come in all different skin colors. You cannot judge a baby by what color they come out,
but
or
that's
even
his,
what
that's
color
one of
they
his
are.
points.
You can't judge that.
I know, that's one of his main points. That's what I'm trying to get through his head. Just because he has lighter skin doesn't mean he's not his.
How many children do you have?
3.
And Adrian is the baby?
Yes, ma'am.
When you look at Adrian, you see the other guy.
The judge is trying to keep a level head, but you can tell she's getting a little frustrated with all the back and forth. She's reminding Mr. Stevens and Ms. Smithers that they need to focus on what's best for the kids, not their own personal drama. And she's got a point. These kids didn't ask for any of this, and they deserve a stable, loving home.
That gives me more doubt, and I just don't want that. Like, I want me and him to have a bond. Like, I want us to be able to go fishing. I want us to be able to go hunting and do stuff together.
And that upsets you?
Yes, ma'am.
I see your eyes, they're watering. When you look, it's like you're trying not to see, but you just feel like you can see this other man.
Yeah, like, I don't see myself when I look at him.
Finally, the moment of truth arrives. The DNA results are in, and the judge is about to reveal whether Mr. Stevens is the father or not. The tension is palpable as everyone holds their breath, waiting to see how this whole mess is gonna play out. Is Mr. Stevens the dad, or is this baby really the neighbor's?
Mr. Stevens, you are the father. Happy to deliver those results to you.
Thank you.
I can see this means a lot to you.
Yeah.
How are you feeling in this moment to know you do have your son?
Right now, I'm happy.
The most psycho woman on paternity court.
And now she's saying she's pregnant. Of course, I cannot be with him and be a part of them.
Number 1, 2, 3, 79, and 80, and they all agree to a test. Why you got a problem with it?
First up in this paternity run, we got a mother and godmother fighting over the affection of a young woman. But the irony is that daddy is missing out on the picture. And when that happens, you know where to head to. Let's start this psycho ride on this somber note.
And I only had 2 moms in my life, my godmother and my mom. And my mom had introduced me to a gentleman, and I just did not feel in my heart that he was my father.
Miss Frazzuni was given the name of a father, but the guy turned out to be not. The good thing was, she never felt any connection with that guy. After that episode, the plaintiff was told about Mr. Bomar, who was in the court to be tested.
So you feel it's completely different than when you met the gentleman your mother introduced you to?
Right. And that's pretty much how I've always felt ever since I met him.
And your godmother, who's here with you today, she believes he is your father.
After listening to Miss Frazzuni, the judge called up the co-plaintiff, who told the court about how she herself was intimate with the defendant, and both created a false story to sell to Miss Bailey's daughter. Well, the defendant didn't like this narrative and responded like this.
Her dad, 30
That's
years
right.
ago, why
Okay.
did she just bring it up last year?
Is there a reason why you just brought it up?
To stick another dagger in my back against my daughter. As far as stories people have told her, that's just what they were.
Miss Bailey testified to the court that there was no way that Mr. Bomar could be her daughter's father, as she was intimate with multiple people at the time, including her friend at the time, and she blamed Miss Hallams for the reckless choices she made.
He was 21 years old. Maxine was 30.
No, I wasn't.
29, however
No, I
old.
wasn't. I was
She
20.
was older.
I was 27.
She was way older, and I just let her lead
Wait a
me.
minute.
She further pleaded that her daughter was being manipulated into thinking that Mr. Boomer was the father by her own friend. Miss Frazzoni, on the other hand, was not ready to believe a word coming from her mother and wanted the alleged father to be tested.
Factual evidence.
And I understand that.
I want a test.
I understand that. I
now.
understand that. Because of my past lifestyle, there is reason to doubt.
The next judge asked Maxon to vouch for Bomar, and this ticked the mama at the podium really hard. She totally blew off in the court, blaming her ex over for poisoning her daughter like this.
But the meddling and the trying to compete
And the remembering.
for my daughter's love, this is my child. I had her.
She wants to
and
know
you need
who-
to stay in your lane.
Oh, the woman went ballistic in a matter of seconds. Maybe she was a little paranoid about sharing her own daughter with another person. Miss Bailey was screaming at the top of her lungs. Even Judge Lake was stunned at the show going on in her own courtroom.
You ain't never been a mother. You should have went and had a baby.
Right.
Tell
Listen
that.
to the judge.
Okay,
Listen to the judge, and you listen to the judge.
Lady!
Order in the courtroom. Jerome stays between them, or Maxon might lose her hearing today. Okay, all of this was also unacceptable for the judges, as a 20-year-old woman was standing crying, while her loved ones were busy fighting.
Now, you all can keep arguing and fussing and rehashing your own personal issues. Because I hate to tell you, all this back and forth, it's obvious to me and everybody in this courtroom that it don't have nothing to do with her.
This back and forth is clearly going nowhere, so the judge got the alleged father in the court, who told the judge how he had no idea about the young plaintiff, but since they got connected, and by now, they had developed a bond with each other, Mr. Bomar was also hoping to be the father. Let's see what the DNA result holds.
When it comes to the paternity of 31-year-old Maxina Franzoni, Mr. Bomar, you are not her father. I'm sorry to you both.
Malicious rumors made the son sue her mother and sister. In this case, you can see Ms. Chandler and her boyfriend dragged his mother and sister in the courtroom due to the damage they have intentionally done to the couple's reputation. On the other hand, to support the maniac actions, the defendants claimed that baby mama has manipulated Mr. Hilliard. Let's move to this lunatic episode.
Miss Chandler, you and your boyfriend, Mr. Hilliard, are suing his sister and mother for defamation of character. You claim they are spreading malicious rumors regarding the paternity of your son, Brandon Jr.
The trial began on this note. It was revealed that the plaintiff is promiscuous and has been busy with so many guys, like she's got to play with them on a racing track. However, the mommy admitted the claims and put on the break show like this.
She has a lock on her cell phone to where my brother can't see her phone. She's cheated on my brother. He stayed at my house with his kids.
Now, what proof do you have of that?
She's admitted it to me.
No, I have not.
Uh-oh. Ms. Chandler took over and bashed the defendant over her interference in her life. I mean, girl, that's fair enough. Do good. Have a good situation for the psycho girl. Go get your life, lady. Let others do their things themselves.
You should not be
talking about me sleeping around.
What I do with my life is my business.
3 babies, 3 baby daddies. I got 3 babies with the same man.
Okay.
Even after that, the supposed auntie didn't stop to put her leg in the middle and asserted that the child's mommy has been dating some other guy when his brother was away. But Judge Lake had to spill the beans that she needed to keep her nosy behavior shut down for good like that.
A guy that she lived next door to, she started dating him when my brother went to California.
That's why you and your mama decided that I was a bad person because
And I don't even know why you're over there talking in the first place.
I took Brandon away.
Oh my. Here came another out-of-mind person in support of the defendant. The alleged granny claimed that they were robbed and his son had also left them helpless. But Ms. Chandler denied her claims and asserted that they always go nuts when things come to her. So it seems she has brought just more drama to this testimony instead of a sense like this.
You're the one that told me
Whenever
I don't need a family, I have a family.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because you turned your back on me, attacking me, coming to my house, trying to take
then
my
why don't you
stepson.
keep that tater trap of yours shut?
Despite these accusations, it was revealed that Ms. Hilliard had said crap about babies and claimed that Ms. Chandler's babies can never be her grandchildren, even if the DNA test determines that they are. Oh, so why is she holding up crazy grudges against baby mama? Or they both have gone crazy for real?
Hey, punk! You told me they can never be a part of you, even if this test comes back that it's your grandson, right?
I never said that.
You and Gina. Gina. Yeah.
No, I told you that.
Up next, the plaintiff told the court that the defendant's never-ending and lots of drama has split the family apart. And yeah, I have to say that too. No one can tolerate that much torture.
When are you together? You do it. You and him broke up because of you. Not because of me.
Because 4 years of this.
Oh my. Guys, hold your ears because what next you are going to hear will definitely blow your mind. Ms. Hilliard, have you lost your mind or are you even in your senses? I mean, I am wondering if they even have the court's environment toxic. What could they have done at their home?
Do you feel like Miss Chandler uses your grandkids as pawns?
Yes, ma'am. Just to get whatever she needs out of Brandon.
Back and forth accusations were not helping in solving this exhausting family dispute. So Judge Lauren dismissed them and asked to get those results to settle this conflict once and for all. Let's watch if the DNA results will be able to change both grandma and aunt for babies.
In the case of Brandon Jr., Mr. Hilliard, your wait is over. You are the father.
Thank you. Now apologize. Come on. I'm sorry.
Anger and animosity serve no good, especially when there is a serious illness riding on paternity. And that is the case for Miss Walker, as father finding the truth about her alleged father. She has turned to Mr. Simmons for closure, but his wife does not like this dynamic.
Meet him for the first time in a minute, but you say you must first prove to his doubtful wife that he is your father.
Yes, Your
Well,
Honor.
okay, Miss Simmons, you contend that there's absolutely no way.
So the trial begins with the defendant giving the cold shoulder to Miss Walker, claiming her husband was incapable of having children at all. But the plaintiff had a hard time believing it. She can tell the court how Mrs. Simmons' sister was the one who reached out to her, and claims Miss Walker as their brother's daughter. And this fact rubbed the wifey real hard.
No, I wasn't.
Well, how did it happen?
Because the sister called him and said, Bruce, I met so-and-so and so.
Asking for your wife's permission to talk to your own daughter? That sounds odd, isn't it? But Mrs. Simmons was not ready for some random girl to pop into their life. They articulated her reservation quite loudly, which drove Miss Walker to the edge of crying. And this made the judge go like this.
Are you upset that she made contact, or are you upset that your husband may be her biological father?
No, none of that. None of that, because he wants to be a father.
Hold on.
Who knew that being left out could boil up such rage in anyone, and some stranger looking for her father would have to pay for it? Nonetheless, the plaintiff told the court that the defendant's husband was the one who reached out to her after taking her number from his own sister. Listening to this, judge realized that it was high time to get the potential father into the court.
Mr. Simmons, welcome.
you?
Thank you for joining us here today. So we are discussing Ms. Walker. She says that you contacted her and said you believe you're her biological father.
The reason Mr. Simmons believed to be her father was the affair with Miss Walker's mother. Even though it just lasted for weeks, it did have baby-making potential. A little odd confession for a TV show, right? But that is how reality TV goes. And FYI, Mrs. Simmons was no fan of the story.
You were intimate with her.
Intimate with for 2 days, yes.
No protection
No
used.
protection, no nothing.
But was in a relationship before that, because he just said that they were.
Well, ma'am, it doesn't matter if you like it or not, your husband is in for this. It further revealed that Miss Walker and Mr. Simmons shared a lot of similarities. They both had asthma, and the same cancer gene ran in their family, which deepened their belief of being related.
So even if it's not him, somewhere in this long of line of right, I'm somewhere close to finding out.
That's one reason why I'm propelled to really find out, because there is a medical history in my family.
However, everyone, including the plaintiff, could not understand why Mrs. Simmons was giving her a hard time. Because anyone in their right mind would get threatened by someone's daughter, would they? Apparently, the enraged wife could not step down a notch.
I'm the innocent one, because whatever she has animosity, that's what my mama and him. Because guess what? Y'all weren't
But
together.
my point is, it should have been done. I've been telling him, get a blood test. Stop signing on the dotted line. Stop claiming kids and
But
let
what
you
is
know
she
they're
worried
yours.
about to you?
Hold up, woman. You might burst my eardrum. Goodness, she doesn't know when to stop, does she? Her attitude had the judge totally baffled. I mean, who wouldn't get confused with a grown woman acting like a stubborn child?
I am observing is a level of animosity, Jerome, that we see with two women that are involved in the same man sexually, not involved with the same man because he's your husband. She can't take that away.
Oh, boggy Mrs. Simmons even had the judge all rushed up. All of her corners were just to compete with Pleiades, and she had no care about her suffering from illness or finding the roots. Mrs. Walker's only hope of closure is that envelope.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Bruce Simmons, you are not her father.
To determine about the deceased son's legacy, Ms. Bank came to the court in order to discover whether what Ms. Hawkins alleged is true or a big hoax. The supposed grandma claimed that the baby mama is just trying to pin the baby on her deceased son, whereas the mother alleged that Mr. Darrell acknowledged the paternity, and his mother is just denying the child out of spite. Let's move to the case.
Ms. Banks, you say the defendant is pinning her baby on your son, Darrell, who was tragically murdered before her child was born.
The trial began with Miss Banks's explanation of why she is denying the baby Jasani. It turned out that before his tragic death, her son expressed paternity doubts. She claimed that they had a wishy-washy relationship, but how does she know so much about them? Was she playing with them?
We were really close. We talked all the time, every day. Jada met my son on Facebook, and she came and moved in with him the same day that she met him. They were dating, and they were off and on. They kept breaking up.
Next up, Mommy testified, and while giving the relationship recap, she stated the whole opposite story. It slipped out that the potential baby dad acknowledged the paternity, and they had goo-goo eyes for each other that made her certain that Mr. Darrell is the father like that.
And I had a strong relationship. We were on and off.
I loved him very much. He loved me very much. When I told him I was pregnant, he wanted me to keep it. We got back together and we started working on it.
As the trial proceeded, it turned out that grandmother thinks that Ms. Hawkins is the reason behind all of her devastating loss because she was the last person who was with his son before his terrible death. Oh, come on, ladies. What are you holding on to each other? Watch how things went off with this testimony.
Correction, I was not the last person to see him. The people
murderers
that
were.
did that was the last people to see him.
You're right,
She
Shan.
feels like
How
I'm the
painful
reason
this
her
is.
son is dead. That's how she feels. You're really the reason your son is dead.
I'm not the reason he's dead.
The frustrated plaintiff revealed that the defendant didn't even name her son after Mr. Darrell, and it is causing doubts regarding the baby's paternity, whereas baby mommy explained the whole part of her side that led to heated up the situation like this, and there's nothing that could stop Granny and Mommy.
Darrell told me out his own mouth, he don't want his son. I said, if it's a boy, do you want him named after you? I don't like my name. Give my son his own name. That's what I did. But not only that, my son's whole name is Jasani Darrell Ray Daniel.
Over and over, things were getting more intense. What Ms. Hawkins claimed next will blow your mind. It looked like the plaintiff, whatever the plaintiff was doing, was due to the biggest loss she had to face. But why threaten anyone? Well, that's what psychopaths do.
Darrell had just passed. She was going through a lot, calling me, picking fights with me, threatening me. I don't know you, and I'm going to jump on a plane to come move with you.
I was threatening you?
No.
For what?
You threatened me to this day.
Even so, those intense claims, the plaintiff didn't take a seat. She started a wrangle in the courtroom, and Judge Lake had to hop up into a squabble to cut them off. Yes, ladies, please stop. Don't start over and over again like that.
Yes,
Be in a new environment.
She should have just said that.
Well, yeah, but at
all that mouth she got.
That's a lot of pressure.
She got
I had a lot of pressure on me at that time.
She wasn't scared. She lied. Look at all that mouth she got. Where you see scared at it?
Well, I wasn't gonna say she was scared.
However, during their non-stop arguments, it was revealed that the baby mama filed for child support when his son passed away. But baby mama turned the whole show with her logical explanation like this.
If a mother goes down to welfare and file for welfare and get on assistance, the father automatically goes on child support. I explained to them that Darrell passed away. They said, give us his social, we're gonna run it anyway and find his death certificate.
Where could you?
Alas, feeling sad for both the plaintiff and the defendant, their ongoing further fuels the whole situation instead of helping to resolve the case. But it was quite evident that they both need to know the results vehemently for baby and his late daddy. So let's go, get those results and see if they will help Granny find some peace or not.
It has been determined by this court the percentage of relatedness between Miss LaWinda Banks and Jasani Daniel is 99.99%. You are related. But I'm not gonna let this train leave this station.
Let's not play crazy. Let's not play crazy.
By yourself.
Okay.
So you should feel where I'm coming from. And maybe when you get in the quiet,
Because you gave me a bounce check.
you cannot destroy someone else's property.
I want her to be a mother. I actually want a family. I had a family before.
When the blank hits the fan, you always call your mother.
This was a brawl between mothers. You could tell that the tension between these guys was so high that it could rip out the roof of that courthouse. Now, Miss Lusk and her mother believed that the father of the 3-year-old baby in question was Miss Page's son, and they were hell-bent on proving that he was the father. Miss Page, on the other hand, believed that they wanted to pin the baby to her deceased son so they could get rich. Who won the battle? Let's find out.
You and your mother say you have no doubt whatsoever when it comes to knowing who your 3-year-old daughter, Samari's biological father, is.
Yes, Your Honor.
Unfortunately, the man you claim is her father has died, and now you find yourself facing off against his mother, who is just as convinced that she is not your daughter's grandmother.
Diving into the war among moms, Miss Lusk started by talking about how things have been difficult for her baby. Trust me, she wasn't having it easy at all. She got pregnant when she was just 16. Yep, you heard that right. Just 16. What broke her was the fact that her baby daddy's mom wanted nothing to do with her or her child. That must be quite heartbreaking.
So, Ms. Lusk, describe to the court how difficult this situation has been for you and your daughter.
It's been more than extremely difficult being pregnant at 16, having to still go through school. These past 4 years, everything has been on me and my mother. And I feel it's completely unfair because he has a whole other side. She has a whole other side to her family. My daughter is beautiful, and you missed out on 4 years almost 4 years of my child's life.
All these women wanted to do was beat each other without caring about the consequences. The anger was so intense, the judge had to tell them to take a chill pill. I don't think I ever want to be locked up in a room with these two. It's definitely not going to end well. Hold on to your seats because the truth bombs are loading and about to be dropped.
Was now pregnant by yourself.
Okay.
So you should feel where I'm coming from.
Okay.
But not only that,
let's get some order, ladies.
You're absolutely correct. I am, and I'm doing a good job. I have 2 jobs.
Let's get
I
some
have
order.
2 jobs. Going back to college in August. You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. But you should be on my side if anybody because you've been there.
Miss
My daughter's
Lusk,
beautiful.
Miss Lusk, calm down.
Miss Page wasn't feeling any sympathy in that courtroom. She had only one mission, to prove the baby didn't belong to her deceased son. She was fully convinced that her son had nothing to do with Miss Lusk, and they pinned the baby on him so they could get the money on his insurance. I don't even know who's telling the truth at this point.
Unfortunately, her son is deceased, so this has been an ongoing paternity issue for the past 3 years related to this beautiful, precious little girl. And you're saying you need help.
They're out for money. I had insurance on
What
my
money?
son. I had an insurance policy. They're out for
That we
money.
knew nothing about.
No, let her
That we
speak.
knew nothing about.
Unless it's proven it's not my son's
You
baby.
never posted
I
it
know
on
anything
Facebook.
about
Miss
Miss
Lusk.
Lusk. Knew nothing about her.
At first, Miss Page told the court that she had never heard of Miss Lusk while her son was alive. Was Miss Lusk going to allow her to say that? Hell no! She stood her ground and explained several situations where Miss Page would interrupt them whenever they were fooling around with each other in school. The crazy thing is that it was all happening under Miss Page's roof. I guess she wasn't as smart or observant as she thought she was.
You said you had never seen her before until you went to her school?
Yes, Your Honor.
How did you get the news that she potentially was pregnant?
Well, I'm thinking that someone told me via Facebook or something like that.
No, ma'am.
So please respond, Miss Anderson. How do you know what happened?
I contacted Miss Page through Facebook to tell her to call me. She called me, and that's when I broke the news to her about my daughter being pregnant by her son.
Baby daddy's mother couldn't keep her anger in check, all right? She was heating up like a bomb that was about to explode in the courtroom. She hopped on Facebook and painted Miss Lusk as the villain in their superhero movie. Trust me, this woman went to every length to make her point known.
Your Honor, we have never asked her for anything.
At all.
Once she suggested bringing over a used walker. We declined her walker. She went into one of her little, oh, that ain't my grandbaby. Make sure you find your baby's daddy. And she's publicly putting it on Facebook.
Also to the point where I can't defend myself because she'll have me blocked or she'll have it where I can't post comments. And I don't slander her on my Facebook. Not once have I ever said anything bad about this woman.
Miss Page kept denying that she had never heard of Miss Lusk at all. Her new story was that she had never seen her baby before. Well, except once by accident, but Miss Lusk jumped right in and said that wasn't true. She said there were times she even held the baby and had some intimate time with the baby. I promise, it only keeps getting more intense with them.
I seen her one time by accident at an acquaintance's birthday party.
So you've never had the opportunity to come by and spend
she
time
held
with
my
her.
daughter at that party. She also she had the opportunity. Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
she had.
Miss Lusk, I
She
held her
had.
and I got a picture taken.
You had a
someone
few.
want to see. Did she
You had
even
a few. And
favor the family?
You posted it on Facebook. You posted it on your Facebook page.
To be honest,
yes,
I
ma'am.
don't
This
want
is my
Myra
first time
around
seeing
him.
you, Miss Anderson.
Yes, it is, and my first time and hopefully last seeing you.
With the way they were going, it didn't seem like they were ever going to reach common ground, and Judge Lauren saw that. The moment of truth is finally here. Let's see who goes home feeling happy and who goes home with tears rolling down their faces.
Between Miss Page and Samari Page is 99.96%.
4 years, and I never asked
For
nothing
4
of
years,
you. I never asked
my son's
nothing
been
of
deceased.
you.
Stop
Absolutely
arguing.
correct.
Both of you all are in so much pain. Everything that comes out your mouth is bitter.
She is one crazy woman, if you ask me. First of all, Miss Matthews had an affair with another guy and got pregnant, as if that wasn't enough. She went on to break Mr. Moore's car window because she thought he was cheating on her. Trust me, it's all shades of crazy in this episode. I hope y'all are ready for the drama.
You admit to having an extremely complicated relationship with the defendant, Mr. Moore. Now you say you're here today to prove that he is your 3-year-old daughter Zanaya's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Moore, you argue Ms. Matthews was having an affair with another man and say she waited to notify you about her pregnancy because she was uncertain if her unborn child.
Mr. Moore was sure filled with doubt. He made sure Miss Matthews had no way of reaching him or contacting him until he was certain the baby was his. That's a little too extra from him, if you ask me. What breaks his heart the most, though, is that they were really into each other from the beginning of their relationship. I guess good things don't last forever, right?
For Neat, in the beginning, we were cool. When I met her, she was a party girl, all the way up to date.
Okay, so then you started a sexual relationship.
Yep.
Were you ever in a committed relationship?
Absolutely. She told me that she was pregnant, but she waited 4 months to do it. Keep in mind, we stayed using condoms all the time, 24/7.
No.
We stayed using condoms, unless I was just out of it one night.
So let me understand this, Miss Matthews. Yeah. So you were in a relationship with Mr. Moore.
Yeah.
Miss Matthews was being pretty fishy while telling her story. She claimed she was in a committed relationship with Mr. Moore, but refused to tell him she was pregnant. I mean, who does that? She then starts to change her story by saying they were on and off. Pick a side, Miss Matthews. Which exactly is it?
I didn't tell him I was pregnant because it was something I went to the doctor in Alabama, and they didn't tell me. They didn't know if my baby was going to be alive or dead. So I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't tell some of my family members either because I didn't know what I was going to do.
So you were having issues and complications
with
in
my
pregnancy.
Yes.
We can stop playing victim, though.
So I didn't show you the papers?
I got these papers.
Papers of what?
With the guy who was presumably, he could be the dad.
Okay.
Mr. Moore sure had evidence to back up his claim. He had a photo showing Miss Matthews kissing another man. Seems like Mr. Moore's skills for stalking and investigation are pretty top tier, wouldn't you say? But Miss Matthews was prepared, trust me. She had her own evidence, and it was mind-blowing.
Matthews kissing another man.
Yeah.
During the time that you thought you were together.
Yep.
No, but...
And how did you find this photo?
That actually came from her social network that she used to have, her Instagram.
Why did I post the picture?
Why
because what picture did you post that made me do that on Throwback Thursday, Your Honor?
Jerome, let me see that.
Man.
What picture did you post? And the reason I did bust the window out is because I was calling his phone about this picture.
Miss Matthews had some serious balls, trust me. She openly admitted in court that she broke Mr. Moore's car window because he wasn't picking up her calls. I don't think you need me to tell you that Miss Matthews is one hell of a woman. You really don't want to be on her bad side, I promise you.
And there was a brick by the tire. I said, oh, this is a coincidence. What a coincidence. And I bust the window out.
Okay, so you admit in open court
and went home and ate some
So
food.
you're admitting today in open court that you busted the window out of his car.
Wrong with you, man?
I don't have to lie about what I do.
Mr. Moore, let me see this evidence you have.
You was real chilly
This
that night.
is a picture of what?
Things were really starting to get out of hand in that courtroom. These two weren't here to play nice with each other at all. Mr. Moore's niece steps up to the podium to give her own side of the story. Oh, she didn't like Miss Matthew for sure. The things she had to say will leave your mind filled with nothing other than shock.
Told me he started dating her and she was pregnant. I just started laughing because, like, you don't know how many other dudes she done told this to before. Like, this is a rumor around the hood. She gets around.
But what
do you mean? What do you mean? She told other.
Let's not play crazy. Let's not play crazy. The whole 117th know you. Let's not play crazy.
So
hold on, Miss Thomas. Go take care of your daughter. That's what you need to do. Go take care of your daughter.
Ladies.
His niece drops the biggest truth bomb the courtroom has ever heard. She says Miss Matthews' child calls 3 different guys daddy in their neighborhood. Wow, I'm beyond speechless right now.
What did you just say? She calls 3 other dudes in the neighborhood that we live in daddy.
Zanaya.
Not my uncle. Yes. It's
Wait.
Your Honor.
Zanaya calls 3 other men
3
daddy?
other men's daddy.
That just sounds ridiculous.
Wait, Miss Matthews. Hold on, Miss Matthews. Is that true? Does Zanaya call anyone else daddy?
The only person she called daddy is her 2 papas. That me granddaddy, Your Honor. No, my daughter did not call anybody else daddy.
I think it's about time we drew the curtains down on the baby daddy shenanigans. Both parties were completely dishonest throughout their relationship. The envelope will reveal the truth, and we will find out who has been lying.
Mr. Moore, you are not her father.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm done. It's over with. I got my whole life ahead of me. I'm done. You know what I'm saying? I wish you the best.
My baby gonna be fine. I'll take care of my baby by myself.
I wish you the best.
So, Miss Matthews, I asked you several times if there could be another potential father, and you said no. Whether you're willing to admit it in open court today, something in me is telling me that you know who this person is, and maybe when you get in the quiet of your own space.
When you talk about being crazy, this particular case fits the criteria for that. Miss Scott believes that her mother is not to be trusted around her husband. In her words, she says her mother is jealous of her and definitely wants a sexual relationship with her husband. You don't need me to tell you that's crazy. Sit back and relax because this would most likely leave
leave you speechless.
You claim that you've been supporting your daughter, Miss Scott, and her 7 children long enough.
Yes.
You say that your daughter's husband is a deadbeat, and you wish she'd leave this man and get off the system. Miss Scott McCrae, you are suing your daughter for $3,900 in unpaid loans.
Yes, Mom.
Miss Scott, you say your mother was an addict when you were younger and now tries to act holier than thou.
Yes.
Now, Miss Scott McCrae, who happens to be the mother, believes her daughter needs a wake-up call. Well, that sounds interesting. She says she's married to a man who isn't good for her and is not capable of providing properly for her in any way. For some reason, her daughter doesn't feel the same way. She was pretty defensive when it came to her husband, almost too cute not to admire.
She's very intelligent. She's smart. I mean, she has goals and she had aspirations when she was younger that I've seen her just lose total sight of. He's a deadbeat. He's not a good provider. He hinders his family more so, I think, than he can help it.
How does he hinder his family?
He can't keep a job for more than a week or two.
He has a job.
When
he
did
just
he
got
get
a
it?
job.
Last week?
It doesn't matter
And
when
how long
he
is
got
he
it.
gonna
He's
keep
working.
it? 2 weeks? How long is he gonna keep it?
Just let it be known, Mom.
Oh, the courtroom lit up in no time, people. You could tell these two women didn't particularly have a cute mother-daughter relationship. All they wanted to do was argue and fight. At some point, it was almost impossible not to laugh at them. But Miss Scott McCrae was throwing some serious shades at her daughter's husband, and Miss Scott just wasn't having it.
Ms. Scott McCrae, why are you calling your daughter's husband a deadbeat?
If I have 5 children depending on me and they need things in the morning to sustain them while they're at daycare, and this man,
What's the things they need?
Toy,
To sustain them. What they
I
need?
was sleeping in their den. I was sleeping in their den. I watched Toy one night, particularly. He went into the kitchen 3 or 4 times.
Miss Scott McCrae was clearly in that courtroom to do one job. I'm sure you're guessing what it is. Well, I'll tell you exactly what it is. She was there to expose her daughter's husband in every single way possible. Talk about shortcomings. He definitely had a lot. Trust me, at this point, you really can't blame Miss Scott McCrae for acting the way she did.
Your Honor, not when you're getting evicted every 6 to 7 months. It shouldn't be a family decision. Not when it's getting, every year. They're good. They do good at
But
tax
let you
time.
tell that you paid our rent for 5 and 6 months, Mom.
That's when I was staying with you when you were on
But when have you
Tuckasegee.
ever
And as
paid
soon
our
as I
rent for
moved
5
out,
or 6
y'all
months,
got
Mom?
evicted because you couldn't
because
continue
you
to
gave
pay
me a
the rent.
bounce check.
No, I didn't give you a bounce check.
We were in a bond.
I canceled
we
the
were
check.
in a bond. No, you canceled it.
I canceled $400.
Now Miss Scott had enough of the false story her mother was trying to paint. Apparently she wasn't the all-perfect mother we were led to believe. Trust me, there was so much more to the tale. Miss Scott McCrae was living like a teenager in their home. She even had a man she was sleeping with while living in her daughter's home. Damn, I don't even know what to say.
We getting the kids ready for daycare. If Toy wouldn't have walked in the living room, the kids would have seen her full moon. And I've never even.
I don't know if I want to know, but
you know what I'm saying. Doing what
Having sex?
with the children.
Having sex?
You're right, but in my home, early in the front, on the couch, Your Honor.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
Grandma, you were not having sex in the front room.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
You're probably asking yourself why Miss Scott McCrae hates her daughter's husband so much. I'll tell you the reason, all right? And it was a very valid reason. She caught her husband's daughter naked with another woman while her daughter wasn't home. Oh, wow. That explains why she doesn't like him one bit.
And caught her husband naked in their house with another woman. Almost lost a thumb because of it. That's when I say no.
Okay, but if I forgave him for that, why can't you?
It ain't about me
It's
not
my
forgiving
husband.
him. I just
Why
don't
you
like the
still
way
gotta
he
bring it
treats
up?
you. I don't like the way he does you and your family.
So why do you feel that it's your?
Can I say something, Your Honor?
When I let you know.
I think both of y'all need some help.
Things took a nasty turn in the courtroom. You could even call it a wrestling match between Miss Scott and her mother. Miss Scoot had some of her own truth bombs to drop. She claimed her mother was making moves to try to sleep with her son. She even tried to kiss him on several occasions. If you ask me, that's going too far in Miss Scott McCrae's case.
She's about to leave. I walk her out to her car. Now she got in her car, crunk it up. So of course, bye Mom. I turned around to go back in the house, but something just told me to, just look back out the door. I look out the door, she done got out her car, walked up to our car where Toy was sitting and kissed him on his cheek. A slobbery kiss. If he would have turned his face.
The only solution here was for Judge Lauren to make her final decision and decide who gets what and who should fix their behaviors. Because these people right here weren't going to settle any of this on their own. Let's see what verdict the judge gave.
Scott McCrae, you were asked if you want a sexual
actual relationship with your son-in-law, Toy?
Made my head hurt.
You said no, and the lie detector determined that was the truth.
Yes, it was.
Okay. All right. And that's what I would rather hear.
I hope you guys are ready for another baby daddy calamity, because that's the only thing that comes out of this case. Miss Hines was in court to prove that her ex-boyfriend was the father of her 22-month-old son. The ex-boyfriend, on the other hand, claimed he couldn't be the father because Miss Hines wasn't faithful at all. Well, let's help them unshackle their mystery, shall we?
Today you've summoned your ex-boyfriend, Mr. Jackson, to court. You want to prove that he fathered your 22-month-old son, Matthias. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Jackson, you claim Matthias cannot be your son because Ms. Hines had another man living with her around the time of conception. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct, Your Honor.
Mr. Jackson, who is apparently the ex-boyfriend, starts off by telling his side of the story. He claimed they tried to be in a committed relationship, but it didn't just work out. The bomb then dropped. Boom! He said Ms. Hines had another man who she was intimate with while they were supposedly dating.
Are you disagreeing that it was Christmas Eve, or you're disagreeing that you're the
I'm disagreeing that it was
sex with?
I'm disagreeing on both behalves because she was living with another male, so it's kind of like hard to like judge her because like.
So while you all were in this relationship or just having sex in the car, whatever it was you all were doing,
Yeah.
she was in a relationship with somebody else.
Yeah, it was a relationship. She had another male living with her.
And Mr. Jackson sure likes to snoop around now, doesn't he? He went to visit Miss Hines one of those cozy nights and he found the most shocking thing. He found a box full of condoms that didn't belong to him. The crazy part? When he asked her about it, she said it belonged to her ex. Well, you really can't blame him for his suspicions, can you?
So when you were in her house, you were snooping around and you saw
Yeah.
some condoms in a box.
Yeah, and I thought she was like.
So you thought at that point that man and her were having sex?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your
It's
Honor,
like
that is true. I did sleep with my ex.
Okay.
So condoms in a box. That's correct because my ex was
and
moving
she had
out during
admitted
this
to
time.
having sex with
Because
this
I told my ex about him.
Mr. Jackson was doing quite a lot of snooping. He was all up in her business. Trust me, you would even think he was being paid to investigate Miss Hines because it was just too much. He did find what he was looking for eventually. Apparently, Miss Hines had been talking to other men behind his back, and all that just built a river of doubts to fill up Mr. Jackson's mind.
The baby isn't yours because y'all don't have the same hair color? Come on, Mr. Jackson.
It's not that.
Yes,
It's just
please.
because
Come on
like,
now.
she was living with another man and she admitted to having sex with this man.
That I
and she
cannot.
has friends.
Those parts of your doubt I
And I
understand.
believe-
So the point is, you're saying you really don't know, Mr. Jackson,
I really don't know, Your Honor.
and that's the problem.
Yeah, that's my problem.
Because with all your snooping, you never could pinpoint.
Exactly.
Miss Hines, of course, had her own side of the story to tell, and she sure told a really good story. Apparently, Mr. Jackson was saying two different things to people. How do I mean? Whenever he was with Miss Hines, he would refer to their son as his baby. But whenever he was with people outside of Miss Hines' reach, he would deny her and the baby, claiming the baby was never his. Now that's just hurtful from Mr. Jackson.
What has Mr. Jackson done for Matthias? Is he involved? Does he help support him?
Behind closed doors, he's his son. Around other people, he's not. When we're together, that's his son.
Yeah,
when we're
from
not
the jump.
together, he's not his son.
Did you ever consider each other boyfriend and girlfriend, or you just sleeping together and sleeping around?
At some point until I figured out that like she's bringing her man, like she's so friendly that she's bringing her.
As if denying Miss Hines and her baby weren't enough, Mr. Jackson happens to be doing the exact same thing he is accusing Miss Hines of doing. Ouch! You heard that right. He also entertains a ton of women in his Facebook DMs. Looks like Mr. Jackson isn't as sleek as he thought he was, because now that cat is out of the bag.
Lots and lots of women. So from the looks of these messages, it seems like you entertaining these women.
The reason why I did what I did because like she had messages in her phone from her other fella that was talking about working on their relationship as far as it don't work out.
Before
They have
that,
built the first
he
time.
was cheating on me. Like, he'd been cheating on me from the beginning.
Well, it's obvious he's entertaining countless
thank
other women. That's a no-brainer after looking at that.
Miss Hines' best friend walked up to the stage, and it was clear she was no fan of Mr. Jackson. If I don't like you were a person, it was definitely Miss Hines' best friend. She gave an account of how she and Miss Hines were the ones who took care of the baby. Mr. Jackson, on the other hand, had almost no contribution to the upbringing of the child.
You are Miss Hines' best friend.
Yeah, sure.
And what do you know about this? What do you have to add?
I know everything about the situation. I know she's been pretty much taking care of him by herself with my assistance, her mother, no help from him. I do most of the babysitting.
This woman is
He's paid
irrelevant.
me twice for babysitting. $10 a piece, both times. I'm more of a father to this child than he is.
Well, it's finally time to bring the baby daddy drama to a close. There was a lot of fighting and accusations between these two, and it was pretty evident that their relationship was not going to be saved. The question still remains, people. Who is the father of the baby? Well, let's find that out, shall we?
Mr. Jackson, you are Matthias's father.
At least, like, if I can get a hug, you mind if I get a hug? So I can, no accusation?
That's up to her. That's up to her. He said he'd like to give you a hug. Are you okay with that or not? You can say no. No. All right.
Maybe
Step
later.
on back over there to your side.
Later. That way I gotta let it cool down.
What happened? Like, I wanted to see this, but I got this.
Did you try to catfish her, Mr. Wilson?
No, lie. All the way around. I'm sexy. Why I need to catfish somebody?
Right.
Is you serious?
What you mean? How do I know that? I had to go through the drama with Miss Johnson. Up and down the road, she following me.
How can she remember me chasing her up and down the street, but she can't remember who fathered her child?
These twins are not your biological children.
They're not mine. There's been too many lies.
What other lies?
She told me that she didn't smoke. She said she stopped smoking. She didn't smoke at all.
Oh my God.
Mr. Hudson was beyond furious with Ms. Bridges. Why? She led him to believe that he was the biological father of her son, then went on to break his heart by telling him she slept with another man. Ms. Bridges didn't deny the fact that she was intimate with another man, but she had every reason to believe that Mr. Hudson was her child's father.
Mr. Hudson, you claim the defendant led you to believe you were her son, Ja'Cory's biological father, then dropped a bomb and admitted she slept with someone else.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're in court to prove you are not her son's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Bridges, you admit to sleeping with another man, but claim that you have no doubt Mr. Hudson is your child's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Ms. Bridges and Mr. Hudson had been together for 5 solid years. Around this period was when Ms. Bridges got pregnant, and Mr. Hudson automatically believed he was the father because, at the time, she was the only one she was sleeping with, or so he was led to believe.
We were together for approximately about 5 years, Your Honor.
Okay. So you were there throughout the pregnancy,
Yes,
and you were
ma'am.
taking care of her. You all lived together.
Yes, ma'am.
You had a relationship.
Yes, Your
So
Honor.
you thought this baby was yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
Were you at the birth?
Yes, Your Honor. I was at the hospital. I took her to doctor's appointments. I was there. I cut the umbilical cord, Your Honor. I even signed the birth certificate on the day of the birth.
The truth bomb couldn't have picked a better time to be dropped, trust me. At one of their son's birthday parties, Mr. Hudson and Ms. Bridges got into a heated argument, and that's when the truth jumped out of Ms. Bridges' mouth that she slept with another man.
When did she drop this bomb?
We had an argument, and that's when she came and she was telling me how I might not be the father and she had done these things. But I paid no attention to them because I am the father. I'm supposed to be the father. I'm here.
He was cheating on me back then, so that's the reason why I did what I did. So yes, I say he might not be the father, but I know he's the father of Ja'Cory.
Since Mr. Hudson found out that his girlfriend cheated on him, he hasn't been in the child's life at all. It's not like he didn't want to be in his son's life, but he claimed he had no way of contacting his child because Ms. Bridges wouldn't let him see the baby.
And what changed that?
I have no way of getting in contact with him. I can't talk to him. I can't see him.
He knows my auntie number. I gave it to him plenty of times. You just making things up, just not to be in the baby's life.
So is it your inability to get in contact with the child really what's holding you back, or is it the fact that you don't truly know?
It's the fact that we don't know, Your Honor.
I mean, Ms. Bridges admitted to cheating, so there was a high chance that there were possibly 2 different men who could be the fathers of the child. The big question now is, what's making her so certain that the child belongs to Mr. Hudson and not the guy she slept with?
I just know, look at my baby, and he been there for us, so it's like, hey,
I've been there, correct. I took care of her when the time when she had no one else to take care of her.
yes, and I appreciate
I took
that
the part.
for everything.
I did everything. She didn't have to do nothing but go to school. I paid all the bills. I worked 2 jobs
Yes.
at the age of 18.
Mr. Davis, the man she had a sexual relationship with outside of her initial relationship with Mr. Hudson, walks into the courtroom, and his mouth is filled with so many truth bombs, believe me. The crazy thing was that Mr. Davis also thought he was the father of her child.
You believe you're Ja'Cory's biological father?
Yes, I do, for several reasons. Me and Miss Bridges met. We hung out for a couple of months. We ended up having unprotected sex around about 3 times. I didn't know that she was pregnant at all until I looked on Facebook one day, like a year later, and I see a picture of her son. And immediately I think her son looks like my nephew.
Now, Ms. Bridges couldn't get her story right with the judge, and it was really starting to piss her off. First, she claimed she knew for a fact fact that Mr. Hudson was the child, but she left out the part where she also made it known to Mr. Davis that he could also be a potential father.
But you testified earlier that you said you know for sure.
I know for sure it's Mr. Hudson's child. So.
But I mean, if you know that for sure, then what was the point of coming to me and saying anything at all?
Because, like, I was just adding up the dates to see how I was just adding up the dates. He said it was wrong.
Okay, but then you came right back
I came
to
to
me.
you.
Hold your breath now, because the DNA test results are ready to be revealed. The tension was escalating, with emotions running high, and the truth was about to hit like a plot twist. Who's the real baby daddy? Let's see.
Mr. Hudson, you are not his father. Mr. Davis, you are not his father. This courtroom is in shock. This is not what anyone expected to know.
There was enough anger to go around in this court case. Ms. Colbert appeared in court, boiling like a volcano, to prove to Mr. Tubbins that he was the only man who could have fathered her twins. But Mr. Tubbins claimed there was no way he could be the father because he found out that she had slept with 2 of his family members.
Ms. Colbert, you've petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove to Mr. Tubbins that he is the father of your 9-month-old twins, Ariel and Adonis Colbert.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Tubbins, you say you know you're not the twins' father and claim that you uncovered that Ms. Colbert slept with not 1, but 2 of your family members.
Yes, sir.
Everyone wanted to know what kind of relationship Mr. Tubbins and Ms. Colbert had that would make her want to sleep with his family members. Well, guess what? They were actually married. They got married about a month after they met each other, and she claimed it was because of Mr. Tubbins' religion.
Your Honor, I am his wife. I married him 1 month after dating, and it was because of his religion issues. He wanted to become married, and because he wanted to use me. He was living in a house with a 2-year-old child with no hot water and no electricity, and I felt bad for him, and I allowed him to come to my house and stay.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, he impregnates me.
But you're his wife now, right?
Yeah, by this time, yes, I'm his wife.
In no time, accusations started to fly about, and the secrets of their relationship started to come to light. After their marriage, less than 3 weeks into the marriage, Ms. Colbert hops out of nowhere and tells Mr. Tubbins she's pregnant, and in his mind, it just doesn't make sense.
About 3 weeks after you married her, she told you she was pregnant.
Yes.
And immediately you questioned the twins.
Yes, because she lied from the beginning. She told me that the last person that she slept with was 3 months prior before we started trying to get together. Then she turned it from 3 months to 3 weeks.
When did she change the story?
Right before the marriage.
If there's anything Ms. Colbert was sure of, it was the fact that she had the worst taste in men, and getting intimate with Mr. Tubbins was the worst mistake of her life. She claimed he was using her because she loved him and wanted to get him out of a messy position in his life.
He just used me. He was using my truck. He ain't have no way to get around, and I was helping him.
And that's who you chose to sleep with?
It was the worst mistake of my life.
Exactly.
It was the worst mistake of my life.
So you let him move in, then you married him?
Yes, I did. And that was the worst mistake that I ever made in my life.
Mr. Tubbins was still hitting the nail on the head by claiming that Ms. Colbert had slept with his family members. As you would expect, the judge was forced to ask him how he knew something like that happened. His response was nothing short of mind-blowing. He claimed she told him about it.
It was 20 years before me and him got together. Now, me and him first started dating. I looked on his Facebook, and, I was just being nosy because we starting to date. I want to investigate you. So I'm doing my investigation, and I see the picture of him and a mutual friend of ours. And come to find out, it's his family member. So if we're going to continue on in a relationship, Your Honor, I need to be honest with him.
Newsflash. She didn't just sleep with one of his family members. At least, that's what he was claiming in the courtroom. He said that when they broke up, the other family member came to him and told him that if he had mentioned he wanted to get married to her, he would have advised him against it because he also slept with her.
After we broke up, a family member came to me. He said, well, you know what? If you would have came to me and let me know before, I could have told you all about her.
Oh, really?
And then he told me about...
But now they tell you...
Did this family member say he had also slept with her?
Yes.
So there's one family member from 20 years ago and then this family member?
Yes.
Did she ever tell you about the second family member?
Never.
Miss Colbert, did you sleep with the second family member?
I wouldn't even know what he talking about.
It was beyond a mess in the courtroom, with Ms. Colbert and Mr. Tubbins yelling at the top of their voices. Now, Ms. Colbert was voicing out her complaints to to the judge and telling her that all the while they were together. Mr. Tubbins never told his family members about her or her babies. Trust me, she was furious about it.
When he hid our marriage, he hid my pregnancy, he didn't want nobody to know that we was even getting married. Why don't you be honest? You call yourself a man of God. Be a man of God and be honest. Okay? Don't sit up here and try to paint me out like I'm no tramp when I was nice enough to let you in my home when you ain't have
You
nothing.
asked me to come. You asked me.
I'm gonna ask you. Why? I own my own property, baby.
So even the judge was about to lose her temper with Mr. Tubbins. He had no evidence to show that the twins were not his children. All his doubts rested on the fact that he felt Ms. Colbert slept with his family members. To make things even worse, he had never seen the twins since they were born. He wasn't making any sense to the judge anymore, so he decided to raise the argument about how the conception dates for the twins didn't add up to him. But Ms. Colbert was beyond ready for that fight, trust me.
The conception date is completely off. When we went to the hospital, the doctor said that she conceived on November 20th. We didn't have sex until November 30th.
No, we didn't.
Your Honor.
We had sex a couple days before the 28th, and then we had sex for the second time on the 28th. So we had sex 2 times in a week in that week.
The moment of truth was finally here, but the air was thick with uncertainty. What would the outcome be? Is he the father, or has Ms. Colbert been lying all this time? Time to see what the future holds for them.
Mr. Tubbins, you are the twins' father.
I'm sorry, I'll take care of him, but I had reason for doubt. I'll
really?
take care of him.
Okay, whatever. Before you start acting silly in here off of emotion, you haven't even met your twins. You have 2 beautiful babies.
Ms. Baylor had a brief sexual relationship with Mr. Childs, at least so she put it, and the result of the encounter was her daughter. At first, Mr. Childs accepted paternity and was open to being the father of her child. But that ship sailed when Mr. Childs' wife convinced him otherwise and said the baby could not be his.
Miss Allen, you say that after a brief affair with Mr. Childs, you discovered you were pregnant with your daughter, Ms. Baylor. You intend to prove that Mr. Childs is, in fact, your daughter's father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Childs, you admit to the affair with Ms. Allen, but say she was involved with several other people around the time of conception.
Ms. Baylor was pretty direct, I'd give her that. She was asked why Mr. Childs was denying her and her baby, and her reply was sharp. She claimed he was denying her child because of his petty wife, and she had her hands wrapped all around his decisions. But Mr. Baylor came to the rescue in defending his wife.
His petty wife. She been doing that for years. She wasn't there when we were sleeping together or nothing, so I don't think she have anything to do with it.
So you're basically blaming his wife?
Yes.
She should blame herself, Your Honor.
What?
Why did it take you 20 years to figure out that you should get a DNA test?
Because I didn't need to go through the drama. I didn't need to go through the drama with you.
Let's talk one at a time, because I do want to understand this.
They both had different memories of how their sexual relationship started. Ms. Baylor remembered that she came over after a football game to spend some time with Mr. Childs. And that's when one thing led to another, and they ended up getting intimate. But Mr. Childs painted a whole different picture for the judge.
One day, I just came through after a football game, and he wanted to ride with me. And so we went on and had drinks or whatever. And then that's when we had sex.
Is this the night you believe you conceived, after the football game and the drinks?
Yes.
Was this the only time you were intimate with Mr. Child?
We just did it like maybe a couple times after that.
Okay, so this didn't extend for a long time. This is just a few encounters.
Yeah.
Now, Ms. Baylor found out she was pregnant. From her recollection, she claimed that when she found out about the baby, she told Mr. Childs that there was a possibility he could be the father of her baby.
You told him directly?
Yes. I told him, I said it's a possibility that she may
So
not
you
be
said
yours.
it is a possibility that she may not be yours?
Exactly.
So you acknowledge this doubt?
Yeah.
Okay, so Mr. Child?
Yes, ma'am.
How did the story go in your assessment?
Your Honor, listen, wasn't no, hey, listen, I'm trying to get at you or anything like that. No, never that. It's just a moment that happened.
As I said, they both had different stories as to how they remembered the whole situation. Mr. Childs claimed when he found out she was pregnant, he reached out to her and asked her to get a DNA test done if she believed the child was his. After that, she disappeared and didn't even tell him when she gave birth.
If you're pregnant and it's mine, let's get a DNA test. We can go ahead and get this out of the way. Have no problem with taking care of her because she would have been my first. I don't see her again for months. Probably longer than that, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Allen, when Ms. Baylor was born, you didn't invite him to the birth?
No.
Did you invite any other man?
No.
Did you inform the other possibility or the other possibilities that they may be the father as well? You did?
Yes.
There was a reason she had been quiet all this while. She was a loose cannon, believe me. Mr. Childs' wife was tired of listening to Ms. Baylor speak, so she decided to drop some truth bombs of her own in the courtroom, and they were not funny at all.
Remember me chasing her up and down the street, but she can't remember who fathered her child. Why am I living in her head rent-free, but she can't remember who fathered her child? Furthermore, Your Honor, he's always been there for our children. So this little song and dance she doing, I'm telling the truth. Why would she? Okay, I think it's important to know too. When we met her daughter, the daughter told us that she had tested someone else. Why didn't you test him first?
The truth was starting to pop out, and all hands were pointing at Ms. Baylor to fill in the loopholes. Apparently, a man whom her daughter didn't know reached out to her and said he had a feeling she might be his daughter, and so wanted to get a DNA test just to confirm.
Ms. Allen, you say this person was never a consideration.
No, and I told him that, but he was insisting on it. I was like, that is not, I wasn't even messing with you back then.
So the bottom line is, Ms.
She don't know. That's the bottom line.
Allen, you have not had a DNA test with any of the other true potential fathers.
Right.
So, Shinesha, Ms. Baylor, were you always told Mr. Childs was your biological father?
Ms. Baylor's daughter was one hell of a smart young lady. She wasn't going to wait around for her mother to tell her who her biological father was. It's not like she knew anyway. She reached out to Mr. Childs and spoke to him about her being his daughter. The sweet thing was that he actually didn't deny her.
Would come to me like, you're my cousin, TJ's your dad. I'm like, I don't know who TJ is. Who is TJ? I went about it myself. I found him on Facebook, hit him up, and I said, look, I don't know what's going on, but I do actually want to know.
And did I ever once deny you?
Nah, you never did.
Never once. Never once. A child looking for a father, Your Honor, and I stand a chance of being there, I'm gonna be there.
Mr. Childs was not a bad man after all. She actually made several efforts to meet Ms. Baylor's daughter when she was much younger. Well, guess what? He actually did meet her. But the problem was Ms. Baylor. She just wasn't being very truthful with her daughter.
11 years ago, you would have been 9, Miss Baylor.
Yes, ma'am.
So you made an attempt to meet Miss Baylor at 9 years old.
Yes, ma'am.
But you weren't informed of any of this till you were 14.
No, ma'am. I met her. I sat down and talked to her at Miss Allen's house.
I felt like I never saw this man in my life. Like when people was telling me when I was 14, I'm like, I don't know nobody named TJ. I don't remember him.
Well, it's time we brought the cartoons down on this plot twist, wouldn't you say? It was time to find out the truth and know if the craziness was all worth it. The moment of truth is here, people. Brace yourselves for the results.
Mr. Child, you are not the father. I'm very sorry, Miss Baylor.
It's okay, Your Honor. You know, at the same time.
It's okay, honey.
I would like to apologize to the both of you for that, and we can move on.
Ms. McIntyre and her mother were absolutely certain that Mr. Wilson was her baby's biological father. She claimed the only reason he wasn't accepting the baby was because he wanted to live a single life. But Mr. Wilson had more than enough proof to make him certain he couldn't be the father.
Ms. McIntyre, you and your mother stand before me claiming that you are 100% certain that Mr. Wilson is your 3-year-old son, Jashawn's biological father. Is that correct?
Yes,
that's correct. Right, Mr. Wilson, you say you have more evidence than this court has ever seen before to prove that Ms. McIntyre cheated on you numerous times.
Their relationship started on Facebook, and Ms. McIntyre was already in love with this young man. In no time, their conversation got pretty intense, and Mr. Wilson was already telling her he would give her the world. Well, that never really happens now, does it?
Talking on Facebook, he shared a couple of pictures with me. He shared a picture like this. I thought he was very cute. He said he was gonna take care of me and my daughter.
On Facebook, he was already gonna take care of you and your daughter?
Yeah, he sold me a dream.
You had never met?
No, we never met before.
Okay.
So we finally wanted to meet up, and when he got off the bus, I seen this. He catfished me.
As I said, it was all too good to be true. After having their cute conversations on Facebook, it was finally time for them to meet in person. When they finally did, Ms. McIntyre couldn't believe what she saw. She claimed she had been catfished.
I'm like, what happened? Like, I wanted to see this, but I got this.
Is it a totally different picture, or is it just good angles?
It's good angles.
What can I show
or something, I don't know.
Did you try to catfish her, Mr. Wilson?
No, lies. All the way around. I'm sexy, why I need to catfish somebody?
Right.
Is you serious?
Mr. Wilson was being completely honest in the courtroom. Well, at least so he claimed. He said he wasn't in the courtroom to deny the child and say he wasn't the father, but he just had doubts. And Mr. Wilson needed to be sure he wasn't taking someone else's child, which, if you ask me, makes a lot of sense, but where are these doubts coming from?
I want to be honest, I'm not here to say I'm denying my kid, but at the same time too, Miss McIntyre, kind of ratchet at the same time.
When you say kind of ratchet, are you indicating or inferring that she sleeps around?
Yes, yes, Your
I don't believe that he's saying that. This guy is full of it.
Jumping right in after Ms. McIntyre gave birth. She had her baby quite well and all right, but the question now was, did she tell Mr. Wilson she had a baby? She claimed she did, but Mr. Wilson slammed back at her and said she never reached out to him at all.
Did you tell Mr. Wilson?
Nope. Nope. Not until after the fact. They claimed that they didn't have no way.
Serious?
They claimed they didn't have no way of getting in contact with me. They called me after the fact he was conceived. I wasn't at the hospital.
No, he was
I was
not
none
at
of
the
that.
hospital because
none of that, because they didn't want me to be there.
He didn't have.
Period.
Why wouldn't we want him to be there?
Period. Because she don't like me, just like I don't like her.
He didn't have a
So
ride.
she
That
didn't
was
want me
his
to-
excuse.
Well, it was from argument to the next, with Ms. McIntyre, her mom, and Mr. Wilson wanting to rip out their throats. Mr. Wilson's name was never put on the child's birth certificate because he never made it to the hospital, but since the baby came into the world, he hasn't done a single thing.
Hasn't done anything for him?
Not to my knowledge.
And believe it or not, if this baby not mine, I'm not gonna.
But
do
it
nothing.
is yours.
I'm not.
But it is yours.
You haven't did anything.
I got a 1-year-old daughter. I take care of faithfully.
You never
That's the
did
thing. I'm
anything
not.
anyway.
It is yours.
So I want to understand your doubt, Mr. Wilson.
He was ready to spill everything he believed to be true. Mr. Wilson claimed that the proof that made him feel the baby wasn't his was the fact that he kept getting texts from people he knew, saying that Ms. McIntyre had been sleeping with several other men.
I got texts that somebody that I personally knew face to face was messing around with Miss McIntyre around the same time I was messing around with Miss McIntyre.
So do you have that proof here?
Okay, then hold on. Not
Do you
only
have
that,
that proof here? No.
Not only
No.
that though. My thing is this. Not only that, I have called Miss McIntyre in her phone
Where's the text?
a couple of times with other dudes offering favors for jobs.
Well, he did let the cat out of the box, and he sure didn't feel bad for it. He claimed after he found out Ms. McIntyre had been cheating on him, he went on what I would like to call a cheating spree. Oh, he was sleeping with everybody and anybody he could find.
So yeah, I was hurt. So I went out there, I was super cheating. You know what I'm saying? I served.
Yeah.
Super
When
cheating.
you come back,
I was super cheating.
With transies, right?
I was
That day when I was
super
asleep,
cheating.
when I was
You
asleep,
feel me?
huh?
Because at the point, I'm like, all right,
You
this
cheat on me with
relationship
who,
ain't not
Ja'Cory?
going
Because super cheating.
Yeah, super. I'm gonna say super cheating.
It's elevated.
Yeah.
Well, the suspense is finally over, and the hassle of who the dad of their child is about to be revealed. It's been a bumpy and funny ride with Mr. Wilson and Ms. McIntyre. All eyes are on the judge as she unleashes the truth. Get ready, paternity folks.
Mr. Wilson, you are his father.
Told you. Told
That's
you.
all I needed to know.
Told you ought to be ashamed.
That's all I needed to know.
You ought to be ashamed.
I needed to know that. That's my thing.
Mr. Charisma.
I needed to know that.
You got the clarity you needed, and Miss McIntyre and Mom, you
right,
said
John.
you wanted your son to know his father.
She cheated on me on my birthday.
I did not cheat on you.
She was gone with her ex. She hid all of her pregnancies. She even hid the one from her
no, I
youngest son,
didn't.
Carson. She hid from him.
Why you been lying to me that they're my kids when they're not?
And you know my
Who you
mom
been
got really
sleeping with?
attached to them.
Mr. Harrington, you are not the father.
What? Told you,
Are
bro.
you serious?
This case will shock you. It certainly shocked me. On one side, we have Mr. Harrington, who's adamant he's not the father of Miss Faye's latest child, 1-year-old Nalani Day. Mr. Harrington and Miss Day already have a kid together, and Mr. Harrington insists the only reason why Miss Day claims he's the father of Nalani is that he's a good father, and she wants him to be a great father to Nalani too. Of course, Miss Day disputes all of this.
Nalani is not my child. This is the reason though, because there's other contenders, and she's a promiscuous person. She like to be, you know what I'm saying, she a party person. So she do whatever she feel like she want to do, and she knows I'm a good father to the child I already got with her. You know, I'm a good person, and I take care of my responsibilities.
So you think this is just an attempt to get a good dad for her child?
Yeah.
Ms. Day, those are strong allegations.
If
What do you do?
he is not the father of my child, I am the...
Okay then, Miss Potential Virgin Mary. This means Miss Day is 1,000,000,000% positive that Mr. Harrington is her baby's daddy, and that there is literally no other possibility. Well, if she says that's what it is, then it's time to close the case right away. She cannot be telling a lie with that sort of stuff, right? Anyway, let's find out how baby Nalani even came into this world.
broke up. My middle child, the other child that we have together, was having seizures. So she was in and out of the hospital. When we was in the hospital,
at the hospital, we had did it.
In the hospital? Really, Ms. Day? That doesn't sound very Virgin Mary of you. Mr. Harrington admits that they did do the deed in the hospital, but says that was outside the window of conception. He also says that Ms. Day never actually told him she was pregnant, and he got the news through an anonymous tipster. That's right. He got the news that she was pregnant through an anonymous text. Why not?
So you say you got a tip from an anonymous texter.
Anonymous text.
A text comes through to your phone and it says,
baby mama,
how your baby mama pregnant and her and your sister hiding it from you. It might be guy number 1, baby, though. You write back, who is this? So you just an anonymous tipper, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what I said.
You know, we are kind of starting to understand why Mr. Harrington doesn't think this baby is his. Because why would Ms. Day and his sister even hide the pregnancy from him anyway? When Ms. Day finally told him she was pregnant, she was already 4 months gone. And guess what? She said she too only discovered she was pregnant after 4 months. Okay, maybe that's possible. But how likely is it to only figure out you're pregnant in the 4th month?
But even if it was something that I did not tell him, it was only a week, probably like a week span of time.
Yeah, you sound right.
And how do I sound?
Like
somebody telling the truth,
like you're trying to, like
But,
what you do all the time. You
the
try
guy,
to work around a lot. You're working around a lot right now.
Sent the message.
You lying. You not keeping it a band. Keep it a band.
So what are you lying about?
Keep it a band. I don't lie.
This not being your baby, right?
Well, someone is definitely lying here. Ms. Day says that the anonymous texter is ultimately correct, and she was messing with 2 guys around the time she told Mr. Harrington that she was pregnant. However, she says she only started messing with them after she got pregnant, and not before. Shockingly, Mr. Harrington remained close to Ms. Day through the pregnancy, even with his doubts.
Birth?
Yes, I was there for the birth because I was saying to myself, okay, if I am a possible father, I don't want to have missed the birth. So I was keeping it real with myself. I was being real with myself.
Okay.
All right.
Wrong, because he told me that he just wanted to make sure that I knew that he was gonna always be there.
I am gonna always be there for my child, but you can't be pinning, you know.
Despite being at the birth and being there for Ms. Day, Mr. Harrington made sure he didn't sign the birth certificate. For some reason, Ms. Day believes that he somehow accepted that he's the father of the baby and just conveniently forgot to sign the birth certificate. I'm not sure that's how it works, Ms. Day. Now let's hear from Ms. Ebony Hall, who's Ms. Day's elder sister. What has she got to say?
Just trying to make
He don't want to admit nothing because his girlfriend told him that if he's the father to this baby, that they would break up, and he don't want to go. They broke up. And he don't want to go home to his mama because he hopped from. Well, you still there?
Oh, that's what I
You irrelevant because you don't.
But
She don't even know nothing that's going on.
Hold on. So there's a new dynamic. Mr. Harrington here isn't denying Melania because he doesn't think she's his baby. That's so elementary. Instead, he's doing it so that he can keep his relationship with his girlfriend. That's an incredible claim, but it could be true. After all, Mr. Harrington hasn't really explained his doubts about the paternity of Melania. Well, he's going to now.
I wasn't even finishing her, you know. I wasn't finishing. We was doing, you know, I was like a chauffeur. I was in and out, you know what I'm saying? So that's the reason why.
You didn't complete the sexual act, so you don't feel like you could have impregnated her.
And I'm gonna tell you, because the conception date.
So you're saying her conception date is wrong?
Okay, those are actually good reasons to dispute paternity. And to be fair, Harrington does sound like the name of a chauffeur, so maybe he was really in out of there that quickly. Anyway, he steps up to the monitor in the courtroom and asks a really important question.
How are you gonna have a baby with me
realize?
in November when I left in the middle of October?
And in the previous testimony, Ms. Day, you did admit that you weren't intimate with other guys until November because you were with him September, October.
But earlier in Ms. Day's testimony, she'd argued that she'd conceived in September or October. However, the calculator here is stating something else. Who's wrong? Ms. Day or the conception calculator? Let's see what the DNA test has to say.
Mr. Harrington, you are not the father.
The worst paternity spats happen between long-term husbands and wives. Mr. Carmen here has been married to Mrs. Carmen for over 18 years, but that marriage is on the rocks and could end depending on the DNA results they get. Mrs. Carmen says her 4-year-old daughter, Rone Zaya, belongs to her husband, while Mr. Carmen says he has bombshell evidence that proves this is a lie.
So what is the current status of this relationship, Mr. Carmen?
On the thinnest ice known to man.
27 years together and you're on thin ice.
How can I put it? It's like, the ends of the bread getting hard. The ends around the bread getting crunchy.
Ain't no need for it to be crunchy.
It's drying up.
Ain't no need for it to be crunchy.
And it's really that pretty face right there.
Which is...
That pretty face right there.
Yes, that's your face.
And I've been right there the whole time.
Yes, you have.
From day...
Mr. Carmen and Mrs. Carmen haven't just been married for 18 years. They've been together as a couple for 27 years. They have 5 children together, and Mr. Carmen has been a model father to his kids. So how did it get to the point where there is even a paternity issue?
Well, Your Honor, we had a separation. I went to rent a car, and I couldn't get a car, and it was around Easter time. So because I couldn't get the car, I kind of took it out on him. And so we were arguing back and forth, and we decided that he was gonna leave.
Because of
that rental must have been extremely important to cause a separation between people who've been married for 18 years. So what happened after the separation? Let's just say things got a little boomy for Mr. Carmen.
He went and rented an apartment.
Yeah, I went and got my own.
Turned it into a boom boom room. I had to pay somebody $100 to go into the home to see what was going on, and it was party central.
And so a boom boom room is what? A party house?
It's a party house.
With women?
With women.
And everything else?
And everything else.
Jerome, you been to a boom boom room?
That's why they call me Jerome Boom Boom Hamilton.
Okay, Mr. Carmen, what do you have to say for yourself?
And I'm not finna sleep while my stuff get thrown out when I'm sleep in the front yard with my stuff.
Okay,
I'm going to get me a roof. Throw all my stuff out on the front yard one go. I went and got my own place.
So you said she threw you out, so you went and got your own place?
I came home, she called me, I'm around the corner park talking to my partner. She called, you know what? Tasmanian devil. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, wait a minute, what you talking about? So I come back to the house, yard sale.
Oh.
What the?
So you put his stuff out and you had a yard sale, Miss Carmen?
I did, Your Honor.
Here's a piece of advice. If you still want your partner in your life and would hate for them to rent a place and turn it into an old boom boom room, you should probably not sell off their property in a yard sale. Just a piece of advice. Now, Mrs. Carmen didn't just chance upon the knowledge of her husband's boom boom room. She did proper detective work to get it all going.
Over there. So we were staking out. We were actually staking out for a while before we came to the conclusion that I needed to send somebody up in there.
And so you would see the people coming in and out?
Yes.
So you decided I'm gonna pay somebody $100?
I did.
And you did?
I did.
And they went in there and came back and reported to you?
He showed me a videotape. I gave him the $100 bill. He showed me a videotape with him with all kind of women kissing on him, sitting all on his lap, doing all kinds of stuff.
That sounds like a boom boom room, all right. That's precisely the sort of stuff you do in boom boom rooms. After Mrs. Carmen sees this, she gets an epiphany. She won't just sit around while her husband hosts parties and gets women to kiss him and love up on him. Instead, she's going to go outside and do her own thing. And that's why both of them are in paternity court today.
So you got yourself your own boom boom room?
I got myself my own boom boom room, and then he found out about it.
Hold on, you skipped the part. So during this time when you got yourself your own boom boom room, how many guys were you dating?
Oh, just one, Your Honor.
Just one man?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's good. You know what I always say? If you decide to cheat on your partner because they cheated on you just for revenge, then just cheat on them with one person. Trust me, it makes your time in paternity court a lot less complicated than it would have otherwise been. The only question now is, how did Mr. and Mrs. Carmen get back together after all their booming?
Together now.
So what happened is he called me up and he asked me, he said, are you messing with somebody? And immediately I told him yes. When I told him yes, when I went home, he was at the door with his bags.
And then they got back together and decided to work on their marriage. Everything was swept up under the rug. Well, that was until Miss Carmen got pregnant. Interestingly, Mr. Carmen didn't have doubts at the time.
No, at the time, I was like, all right, well, one more, let's do it again. Wasn't planning.
Things were going perfectly until a year and a half ago when Mr. Carmen received a shocking message.
Thanks for being a stepdad.
Wait a minute. What is that? That's a phone.
Text messages.
Oh, you got a text message.
From the mystery man's family member.
I ain't never seen it. How old was Ronasia when you get these text messages?
3 going on 4.
Oh, so the baby been born, you all been raising Ronasia, and you back together, your family's together?
That is
and
correct.
Then between 3 and 4 years old, you get these text messages on your phone.
If Mr. Carmen had no doubts before, he has doubts now. Any man would probably have doubts if they received an anonymous text message from someone thanking them for being a stepfather to their child. And that wasn't all. Mr. Carmen received another text message.
Step aside so Lakeisha and my cousin can be together. Blah, 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 blah. What? You jive.
I've never seen that, Your Honor.
Then, we demand a DNA test for Ronasia. Mystery man's people.
Ah, so that's why Carmen is in paternity court today. Mrs. Carmen says there's no question of paternity on her end, but why would this anonymous texter ask for a DNA test if they didn't have a reasonable suspicion that the child didn't belong to Mr. Carmen? Mrs. Carmen says this doesn't matter because the man she was seeing wasn't the one making these claims. It was his family members. Incredibly, Ronasia was conceived more than 2 years after Mr. and Mrs. Carmen got back together. This means Mrs. Carmen must have been cheating on her husband with this mystery man even after they got back together.
Marriage. Were you still having sexual relationship with this other man after you all decided to work on your marriage?
No.
Were you in contact with this man?
Yes.
You were?
Yes. He was sending me messages through social media. I had to block him.
But now his family members now say they want a DNA test. It doesn't add up.
Of course it doesn't. Someone here is lying, and we can only hope that the results of the DNA test reveal who the liar is.
Or 4, then all the throwing stuff in my face, kept throwing the dude in my face, talking about, I'm gonna go do this, I'm gonna do that, and he gonna send me some money and all this type of stuff.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
He's gonna send me some money?
Yeah, he gonna send me 5.
Who's saying this, your wife?
Yeah, right to my face.
I did, Your Honor.
So wait a minute, you actually said Ronasia is not your child and that the other man's gonna send you some money.
I did it out of anger, Your Honor. I didn't.
Another pro tip for people who would like not to end up in paternity court. Try your very best not to tell your partner that their kid isn't theirs. It's just not worth the hassle. It's time for the results. And Mrs. Carmen isn't taking it well. Is there something she knows that we need to know?
Miss Carmen, are you all right? You're shaking. Before I read this result, is there anything you need to say to your husband?
No.
Okay then, Miss Carmen. It's your marriage, your kids, and your husband. Let's see the results of the DNA test.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Carmen, you...
Ms. McDaniel here says she's nothing but an innocent young woman who was tricked by Mr. Lennon into making a baby. And now, Mr. Lennon is refusing to take responsibility for that baby. Mr. Lennon says Ms. McDaniel is a gold digger who wants access to his wealth and nothing more. He also has a piece of advice for her. He wants her to contact all the men she's been sleeping with and return to paternity court with them to see who's the father of her baby.
Met her off of a site. And from me meeting her from a site, I wanted to see what kind of person she is and see if she wanted to have a life.
He also wanted to have sex
again,
with me, Your Honor. He asked me for my number on the site that he met me off of. That is correct about that, but he wanted to have a baby also.
Your Honor, I had a 2-year-old child that passed in my life, and that kind of hurt. So for me trying to pick up with my life, I wanted to meet somebody that was kind of good. So when I got up with her, it was like a simple point was like, you know, I wanted to see what kind of lifestyle.
Well, that's all fine and good. Ms. McDaniel says Mr. Lennon was looking for lust with her, while Mr. Lennon says he was looking for love. But somehow they managed to do the very first day they met.
First night I met Mr. Leonard.
So wait, you all met online?
We met online,
yes,
Your Honor.
We did meet online.
We met in March.
Were you looking for love online, Mr. Lennon?
Your Honor, it's a lot of sites out there. And there's a lot of good ones out there, and yes, there's a lot of bad ones out there. But also, too, when you meet a person, they tell on their own self what they're about. When we had sex on the road, when I pulled over, we had sex on the road. Then when we got to my house...
Oh, wait a minute. I thought you meant like down the road, like a wild path. You meant literally on the road.
Oh, no, not like that. When we pulled over, we had sex.
Well, it's not the craziest thing I've heard on paternity court, but it's kind of up there. This would make a top 50, maybe top 60 list of the craziest things I've heard on paternity court.
Get me in my DM, asked me for my number. I gave him my number. He started texting me. So when he texted me and asked, we meet up? I said yes. I ain't even gonna lie. Yes, we did have sex the first time, but it was the strength of him wanting to be my boyfriend, which I quote unquote my sugar daddy.
Oh, that's why Mr. Lennon is complaining about Ms. McDaniel being a gold digger. But if you're as old as Mr. Lennon, who says he is 42, and you meet a woman as young as Ms. McDaniel, who says she is 27, on a website, and then have intercourse with her on the first day you meet her, you should probably think there's going to be some sort of sugar daddy arrangement going on. That's just common sense.
Me, I was looking for somebody to really be my boyfriend / a father figure in my life. So, quote, yes, that's how he became attracted to me. It's because I never had a father figure in my life.
I'm not really sure it's smart to look for a father figure and a boyfriend in the same person. That doesn't sound like a relationship that's going to go well at all. Ms. McDaniel says her big behind is the reason why Mr. Lennon approached her online, so we are going to do the reasonable thing and see Ms. McDaniel's profile online for ourselves.
These are the photos online. And then you've got the description and the profile. Sunshine. Hello, gentlemen. Miss Kisses is a full-figure, big, beautiful woman here looking for a generous man in North Carolina to spend time and companionship with. I'm looking for serious encounters only who don't mind some action. Disease-free, big, beautiful woman.
Oh, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Mr. Lennon knew precisely what he was getting into when he messaged Ms. McDaniel. Anyway, let's get to this baby business. Why does Mr. Lennon think Ms. McDaniel's kid isn't his? Especially since he admits he didn't use a condom with her.
It was not no condom talked about it in Bob anything.
Yes, it was.
If you admit you didn't use a condom, then why are you saying you not the father?
I'm a woman, and I'm sleeping around with people, and I come to a man that got a nice big house and stuff. Oh, I'm gonna have him to take care of me. That's her frame.
So you did not tell
Ms.
me.
McDaniel, were there other men during that time?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. McDaniel is positive that she didn't have any contact with any other man but Mr. Lennon during the period of conception. That means the baby has got to be his. And if he isn't, then she's the Virgin Mary. She also has a calendar that proves that she was with Mr. Lennon throughout the entire period of conception. Yup, the entire week. She says she was at his house. Well, that clears it then. The child is definitely Mr. Lennon's. However, Mr. Lennon had a sister who said she saw something different.
He goes to work every day about 4 o'clock in the morning to maybe about 6 in the afternoon. I live across the street, I smoke cigarettes, and I watches her.
She telling a lie.
Okay, no, I'm not lying, baby.
That's a lie.
Miss McDaniels jumped in and out of vehicles all while she was at our home.
And that's a lie, Your
Then she
Honor.
called and told the boy that she was pregnant. So my thing is this. If he's the baby father, the baby will get taken care of. But if it's not, then let Miss McDaniels go on about her business.
It's time to know the truth. Let's see if Ms. McDaniel is the Virgin Mary or if Mr. Lennon is just avoiding responsibility.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Lennon, you are not the father.
That's right.
Like I told you.
The most insanely viral moments on Paternity Court. While she was laying on her fat, you know?
Wait. Now you have to watch your language.
That's okay, Your Honor, because it is fact.
You all got a lot of jokes on something that really is quite sad. Mr. Penner, you are the father.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's finally over.
I'm so sorry.
This has been so hard.
I apologize.
Ooh.
I give her a hug, Your Honor.
Absolutely, if it's okay.
Yes, ma'am.
A daughter and a father was here in the court. For 29 years, these guys believed one thing to be the truth. Turns out that wasn't the case. Their world crashed, and now they wanted some much-needed answers.
Mr. Roberts is my father. He don't even when I call him father, that's who I grew up known as my father.
And Mr. Roberts, what is your side of this?
Well, I always believed that Jasmine was my daughter. I raised her as my daughter as the other children in my life. She only knows me as a father. I never even knew anything about this gentleman here.
So up until 2009, life was going well, and then bam! Drama with a capital D. A weird phone call with Mommy Dearest turned the plaintiff's life upside down. Turns out the real baby daddy wanted to get in touch with her. Oh dear!
I had a phone conversation with my mother, and she said, don't you remember the guy that I told you who thought he was your father? When she said that to me, Your Honor, it was a what moment, like, what are you talking about? So she said that he wanted to get in contact with me. I gave her my number to give to him, or she gave me his number. I can't remember how we actually got in contact. And then we reached out to one another.
Well, it was a shock of a lifetime for the daddy-daughter duo. Poor Mr. Roberts got hit by a ton of bricks with this revelation. He was clueless to say the least. Cue the heartache and betrayal of all kinds, people.
A few years ago, Miss Blair told me that she needed to talk to me about something, and that's when I found out. I was kept in the dark about all this. I never knew anything about Mr. Banks. I also, spent 8 months in jail for unpaid child support, and I'm $75,000 in arrears.
Miss Bronson, wrestling with this newfound info, encountered Mr. Banks. They might share DNA, but she barely knew the dude. So that experience would have been unpleasant, if I say so myself.
Mr. Banks, I want to ask you, when did you become aware that you potentially could be Miss Bronson's biological father?
I can recall when she was about 6 or 7, and I ran to her mother and Jasmine and her sister in the park. And then she had told me that Jasmine was my daughter then.
So on that fateful day, Miss Blair also got her supposed grandma. She remembered none of it though, and the other baby daddy had no idea that someone else had been paying child support on his behalf. Yeesh! Following that, the defendant poured his heart out on how he did not like being the last to know everything.
I dated Miss Bronson. I even married her 2 months after Jasmine was born, and I went on my business as raising, as the start of my family. But possibly if I'd known that earlier, it probably wouldn't have been the rest of my daughters, because if she would have told me that earlier, that another man is the father, I would have discontinued that relationship.
All this while, Mr. Roberts had remained blissfully unaware. But since he got to know about this possibility, it has wreaked havoc on his mind. However, that didn't stop him from reminiscing all the wonderful and sweet moments he spent with his daughter.
We've been on vacations, birthdays, and now, she got her first apartment, which we live in the same complex. I live in Benton, she lives around the corner, so we still in each other's lives. Her children, my grandkids, they're at my house right now, so we see each other every day.
Imagine living with a secret this colossal every day. But no worries, because the DNA results were in and ready to be delivered. The 29-year-old secret was finally gonna get a needed closure. So on that note, get ready for the verdict.
Mr. Banks, you are the father. Do you want to be a part of her life?
Yes, I do, because I love you. Now, if I can walk down these stairs to give you a hug, if I may.
Will you allow that?
It's fine.
We've got a front row ticket to the drama-fueled roller coaster that was the Johnson vs. Owens paternity face-off. It's gonna be a wild ride of betrayal, confusion, and the ultimate question: who's the real daddy?
Ms. Owens, what concerns you most about the situation you find yourself in?
This little fella over here that possibly could be my baby daddy. I want the other family to have closure, and I'm hoping that it is her grandchild because her son is deceased, and I don't want him to be the father of my child because he's not gonna be a father.
Now picture this. The baby daddy, thinking he's the dad, signed the birth certificate. But wait, because Miss Owens had a secret rendezvous with another guy. And now it's a paternity mystery. Cue the sarcastic slow clap for the love triangle dynamics.
Mr. Johnson, why is this so important to you?
Well, I feel like I've been misled, you know? She was telling me, you know, 1 minute that, oh yeah, you're the father. Then the next minute she's telling me, a couple years down the line, that I'm not the father, you know? I'm kind of confused here. I don't know what to think.
You lying.
Oh, the sweet taste of deception. Obviously, the plaintiff didn't find it sweet as much. On top of that, it appears Mommy had paid the guy to come to the hospital. Yep, now, what was up with that situation?
You there for the birth?
Yes.
You signed the birth certificate?
Yes, I did.
He ain't do nothing else.
Once I came there with her, I was paying for everything. I was paying to go back and forth to the doctor visits.
He did not pay. He ain't never been to one of my doctor visits with me, never in life. And the day when I was about to have my baby, he went
Don't believe this girl,
he didn't
man.
come with me.
Moving on, the baby daddy claimed to have helped around the baby. However, is saying he disrupted the court decorum. But before the judge could rebuke him, the mommy joined in with the little jokes. Oh, they were both gonna get the scolding now.
While she was laying on her fat you know?
Wait. Now you have to watch your language.
I'm just saying, that's okay, Your Honor, because it is fat. You know, that's okay.
Look at her, man. You know, she sleep around with everybody, you know?
Everybody gotta sleep. Don't be mad at me for doing what you do.
Now, sadly, the other guy was deceased, and that made this paternity matter a whole lot complicated. Even though Mommy knew he could be a candidate for fatherhood, she let Mr. Johnson believe he was the real deal. And now the plaintiff could not help but pass comments at the mommy and antagonize the judge.
It didn't even, my son was like, my son.
This man. How could you not think that he could have been your baby's
I
father?
remember that he hit it. You ain't gotta tell me that.
Everybody.
Oh, wait a
Don't be
minute.
mad at me.
Mr. Johnson, let's get some order in this court.
Oh, these guys succeeded in enraging Lauren Lake. Oh yeah, they had no idea what was coming for them, disrupting the court with all their yelling and comments. Well, now they will, and they won't ever forget this for the rest of their lives.
Your Honor, like I said, it was never in my mind that he was my baby daddy. This little fella was in my mind, okay?
How could that not be in your mind?
Little one, can you calm down?
Sex with him.
Pipe down, little one.
You had sex with him. How could that not be in your mind?
Sit, doggy.
How could that not be in your mind?
Now, before the judge went for the final verdict, she enlightened these guys with what was really at stake here. While these guys clowned about, Lauren Lake set the record straight for these fellas.
He deserves to be able to look at someone and call them daddy or no, that was my father, and have a grandmother. If you are in fact found to be his biological grandmother, he deserves that. Have to deal with this nonsense just because it serves you both to try to one-up one another. You can never one-up him.
The results were in, and the tension was skyrocketing. Who's the real father? Brace yourselves for a bombshell reveal that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew. Here goes nothing.
Based on the testing results, the probability of relatedness is 99.99%.
So let's dive into this case where Mr. Allen, the genius extraordinaire, believes he's got this paternity thing all figured out. I mean, who needs DNA tests when you've got a teleportation machine, right? Apparently, he couldn't have fathered Miss Diaz's child because they were in different states during the conception. Of course, the teleportation machine wasn't working that day.
Why is it impossible for you to have fathered Georgia?
Well, I wasn't even in the same state as her at that time. I was in Tennessee and she was in Indiana. And at that time, she was in a relationship with another guy and I was in a relationship with another female. So at that time, we weren't even in the same state. So it really doesn't add up. I mean, you don't have to be a genius to know that that does not add up.
Mr. Allen, the memory wizard, just can't seem to recall Easter. I mean, who remembers an Easter dinner, right? Miss Diaz swears they had Easter together, but he was busy in Tennessee with another female friend. Yeah, it must have been a teleportation machine mix-up.
You don't remember this Easter day?
No, ma'am, because, well, you see, at the time, I was with another female, and her friend wanted us to go and have Easter dinner with her and her family. This was in Tennessee.
Oh, so you saying you remember the plans you had in Tennessee for Easter?
Yes, ma'am.
Their relationship, folks, was just a match made in heaven. Initially, it was supposed to be a simple hookup, but somehow they ended up talking and voila, she moved in with him. It's like they were meant to be, except for the constant fighting and bickering. Love at its finest, I tell ya.
We ended up talking and we ended up hitting it off, and she moved in with me not too soon after talking and being together. We were good for the first maybe 3-4 months of our relationship, and then after that it was always fighting and bickering. It was a whole lot of back and forth.
So a lot of back and forth, a lot of on and off.
We moved to Tennessee, and that's whenever it got worse.
Oh, and during the magical breakup, Miss Diaz revealed she was pregnant, but Mr. Allen, the true wordsmith, responded with a resounding, "Good for you, congratulations." Because that's exactly how you respond to a potential baby daddy situation.
I was pregnant, I did not know about it. I found out I was pregnant September. I'd be about 4 months.
When you confided in him and you told him I'm pregnant, what was his response?
That's not mine, that can't be, da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, well, I didn't just make him myself. If you do them, 4 months later, if you do the math, if you're good at math, it leads to April. We were together April, which is Easter.
Now, we know that either one of them was lying, and if that's true, they must have been a real idiot for playing with the life of the poor child. But as the story unfolds, the suspense deepens as Mr. Allen boldly demands proof from Miss Diaz. "Prove that I'm the father," he says. He must have missed the memo about how babies tend to need a father.
She would say, well, I'm with another guy now, but you don't have to keep texting me and making sure that I'm okay. So from that point on, I was like, all right, well, whatever. But I would still text her.
But why?
To make sure to just check.
Why if we're broken up?
Because it was
the right thing to do, no. Because if you want to check in just on me, then why don't you check in the whole pregnancy when I'm pregnant?
With Mr. Allen not being in the picture, Miss Diaz was, let's say, exploring other options. Like a multiple choice quiz, but with, well, men. Mr. Allen's friend squad had the lowdown on her adventures, making this situation more of a reality TV show.
During the breakup, I was already pregnant with Jordan.
She was sleeping with 2 other guys at the time, Your Honor. How
did you find that out?
Right, my friends don't talk to you.
Multiple best friends of hers told me that she was with at least 2 guys, and that's 2 that I know of. And she texted me actually herself about this one guy she was hooking up with.
Well, someone might have sounded a little shady right there. However, Mr. Allen, the truth in this paternity courtroom is always developed by the concealed envelope. And what is that? The DNA results. I think we have taken enough of your testimony into account.
Mr. Allen, you are the father. You are the father. That is your handsome little boy. He definitely got more of your cousin's genes. But he's yours.
One moment of weakness, and now the whole relationship was on the line. That had been Miss Martin's life in a nutshell. The baby daddy had serious doubts because of mommy's antics. And he claimed to be out the door the moment results are negative.
At this point, me and Romeo have no relationship because of the paternity of our daughter. I made one mistake back in the past that he knew about, and now he's claiming that he knows nothing about it.
The relationship is in turmoil.
Yes, he completely moved out of the bedroom. Like, he lives in my living room.
Well, the stakes were truly through the roof for these guys. Now that the notorious mistake was out in the open, it's only fair we got to know the details. Our star-crossed couple seemed to have quite the relationship history. And the mistake was cherry on top.
The reason why I'm not sleeping in the bedroom is because I'm not sure if Roy is mine or not.
We've talked about this mistake, Miss Martin, and I think we need to understand exactly what was the mistake.
At the point in time, Romeo was doing him, as we say, partying, not coming home. I completely moved to Wisconsin with him. I even said, if I come up here for you, it went totally left.
Put off with the pregnancy, and bang! It was a full-blown paternity fiasco now. But on an interesting note, Mr. Pinner had a slightly different version of how the news was broken to him. Check this out.
And a month later, she said, well, I have something to tell you.
What?
I had sex with somebody, I had a party, and I woke up,
Romeo,
I don't know if I had unprotected sex or not. And I don't really know who the guy was. And I asked her, I said, who do you have sex with, blank man?
No,
because how do you not know who you slept with?
Well, all that partying was now bearing the door down with heavy consequences. The defendant was adamant that baby mama had kept few important details hidden. However, she was vehemently denying all that. Guess the heart wants what it wants, right?
He claimed he was staying, and I haven't seen Romeo in a few days, so she had to track him down for me.
That's not true, Your Honor.
No, what?
By the time we had our separation, I wasn't doing all the things that she was doing. I still was taking care of that household. That still, to me, was my house. I had came there
You wasn't living in your house, it was your house.
Apparently, the relationship was already unraveled, and the party night proved to be the last nail in the coffin. Mommy blamed it on the baby daddy abandoning him, while he piled it all on her. the dates, parties, and a lack of trust.
He was coming home, but then when we get up there, when I have no family, I have no friend, I don't know anybody. You know, I'm dependent on him. So when you start leaving me at home by myself, and
That's not
for
true.
days, he's with a woman. It's common sense.
Your Honor, I can tell you where it started at.
What?
After she had our oldest daughter, she changed completely. I guess she felt like she missed something.
Amidst all that perplexing conundrum, it was clear as day. These guys had love for each other and how desperately they wanted the results to be positive. This whole ordeal had taken a heavy toll on their relationship. So let's put them out of their misery and head for the results.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Penner, you are the father.
I'm sorry. I'm so
It's
sorry.
finally over.
I'm so sorry.
This has been so hard.
I'm sorry.
This has been so hard.
I apologize.
The most insane women on paternity court.
Miss Miller.
Be respectful.
I'm sorry. That's a lot of nerve considering the alternative is somebody that don't want nothing to do with you or your child.
I'm sorry.
That's a lot of nerve. But that cheering you did, what you cheering? I'm a single mother with nobody that loves me or my child. What you cheering for?
Animosity can make people do all sorts of things. Yeah, believe it or not, it can even make mothers deny the alleged right to paternity, no matter how many miles you travel or how much you beg. It's hard to change this mommy's mind.
Why is Ms. Miller saying you're not Zaylee's father?
Your Honor, I believe it's just out of pure hatred. I drive 160 miles every other weekend just to pick up my daughter and drop her off. That's about 10,000 miles. That's wear and tear on my car. She doesn't have a driver's license. She doesn't have any way to bring her to me. She doesn't have any way to meet me halfway.
Hate? That's a really strong word. Would you prefer dislike? Well, no, Mr. Rasmussen. The fact he chose someone else over his ex-fiancée has created a rift between them, and now she wouldn't let her get close to their daughter. Let's see if the Tigerton woman agrees with these claims.
Yes, I was very mad at him for being a cheater. He cheated on me through pretty much our whole relationship. No, I do not hate him because of that. I lost my respect for him, yes.
He loves his daughter, but you don't want him to have the visitation. Is that true?
Yes, Your Honor. The only reason why he wants the visitation is to claim her on his taxes.
Wait, he's doing his taxes? Does that make sense? It did to Mommy, I guess. Still, Judge Lake had a hard time buying it. The money he would get will go into the expenses of seeing his child. Plus, he was already paying child support.
It's clearly not about money if he's paying his child support. And he also spends money coming to see her. What is this really about for you? Why is it you don't want him involved in this child's life?
Because I still believe that he is not hers.
Okay, and listen, that's what we're here for. I want to get down to the bottom of the truth.
How is Miss Miller sure that Mr. Rasmussen was not the biological father? He was playing the full-blown dad. Why would a man do such things if there was an ounce of doubt? But baby mama responded like this.
She was conceived in March 2011. He wasn't even in the same state. He was in Vegas. At that time in March, I wasn't even with him. I was with somebody else because he broke up with me because he cheated on me.
I'll be the first to admit it was a mistake.
You heard the woman. She swindled out of spite, which added another potential father to the mix. Then why was the defendant so steady on being a father? Turns out that he found out recently in the couples court while fighting over the custody of the baby girl.
Brings it up that I could possibly not be the father because of another man that was involved, and she gave some date, I can't remember the specifics.
And the other father part popped up when they broke up, which raised more suspicion. In addition to that, he was listed as the father on the birth certificate. And the defendant even told them how excited he was to see her daughter, that he beat his girlfriend to the hospital.
I called my boss at work and said, hey, I gotta take some days off. I don't care if you fire me or whatever, but I gotta stay here. My daughter's being born.
That's a lie. She was born.
That was an amazing story. You say that was a lie?
Yes, it is. After she was born, he was gone.
What's this woman's problem anyway? It's like she's living in her bubble. So the judge straight up asked her. It turns out that after getting cheated on multiple times, she just wanted the man out of her life.
All of this is happening, and this man is continuing to step up to the plate. A daughter on the way, he has a newborn baby girl. Even through the breakup, you all are making custody and visitation arrangements, but you know deep down there's another possible father.
Exactly my point. Why wait so long to tell him? Well, Miss Miller defended herself with the same excuse. The more she grew up, the more her looks changed. My doubts became clear. Oh, if you had doubts in the first place, why not talk about them?
She looks exactly like I did when I was 3 years old. I have a picture of me when I was 3.
And so this is a picture of Zaylee on the left and you as a child, Mr. Rasmussen, on the right.
That is correct, Your Honor.
And you say you see a distinct similarity.
Yes, I do.
Do you see it, Ms. Miller? You feel like Zaylee looks like the other gentleman you were intimate with.
Suspicion or not, it was evident that Daddy was at the podium and was not ready to give up on his daughter that easily. He wanted the DNA results so all of the drama would finally be over. But what if it proved otherwise? Would he be able to bear that bombshell?
Mr. Rasmussen, you are not the father.
Cheating on your boyfriend for whom you left your husband. Miss Jackson has been hustling a lot, and now both of her children are in doubt circles. Because even though Mr. Lovett loved the kids, he couldn't shake off the infidelity part.
My oldest son looks different from him. He's darker, he's chubby, got
He has a different mother. Another son by another woman.
Yeah.
He has a different mother. Of course he's gonna look different.
Still, stuff that you been doing, it brings the doubts on it.
Okay.
Like, it ain't like you been good.
You're right.
Of course, you been pregnant.
And you ain't either.
Well, the constant infidelity wasn't only on the defendant's part. She even imposed that the man at the podium was just making things up because he can't commit to one woman. This woman had all surveillance set up on the Orlando man.
I wasn't like stalking you. You gave me
You put
your
tracking
password.
devices on my phone, right?
Yes, because
How
I
many
did not
times?
trust you.
Every time I delete it,
Every
I wake up in the morning
time. And when you
sometimes,
get a new
I see a
phone-
little bird on the top of my phone. Like, what this bird doing? You know what I'm
Your
saying?
Honor, he's
So I
been
find the
proven-
tracking device and I
He's been
delete it.
proven to be
And
not loyal.
days go by, another tracking device on my phone.
Trust issues are running through this relationship. And next, the plaintiff pointed out that Miss Jackson had too many kids, which shows her dealing with different men. And you can never believe a woman like that, which was hard for the baby mama to digest.
It was her phone. It was her phone.
He
I was
got in
talking
my
like I was talking
He
like I
got
was
in
her.
my
I was at
Facebook.
work.
Hold on, one at a time. Let me
I was
hear
at
this.
work and I was but I had her phone. We switched phones that day. So I was texting God like I was her. And then he sent me a picture. The same guy that supposed to be
And
her
what
cousin.
guy? Not true.
Is this the grass cutting guy?
Yes.
I know that makes no sense, so let's make it simple for you. Miss Jackson lied about a random guy at her house being her cousin, and that man used to pop out at her house uninvited, and this added soreness in the relationship.
He recognized the guy's face through my messages. The guy hit me up and said, hey, I never replied back. So he played like he was me and was writing the guy, asking the guy all kinds of questions.
Did Mr. Lovett have any proof apart from that? Well, there was one time when they had broken up, and right after that time, the defendant got pregnant. Quite striking, right? That is exactly how the plaintiff felt too.
You know she's pregnant, but then trying to get back with you because you feel like she wanted you to take care of this baby and all of her other children.
That too, and also she's still married. So I wasn't
And my
taking it
divorce
serious
was
in the beginning.
pending until I got
So I'm
pregnant.
still not
so now we
taking
got
it serious.
kids in between the marriage.
Yeah, we must not forget that she was still married to someone else. So no matter how many boyfriends come and go, her husband will have to take care of all the children, which isn't fair. Listen to the hubby himself.
You are Corey Jr.'s biological father?
No, Your Honor.
We both can't get divorced. He has another woman, other kids in between the marriage. I have another man and kids between the marriage.
You're in legal limbo. You are.
That's what I keep trying to tell him. Do you know if something was to happen to me that he's their father legally?
They most certainly were in legal limbo. Though the baby mama knew how serious it was, she refused to take all the blame because she was too pretty to be anyone's doormat. Well, no one should be taken as slack. Still, running between men like that is not a healthy obsession.
Mr. Lovett is Corey Jr.'s father.
Oh,
that you're convinced of.
She can't stay alone. And it shows whether I'm in her life or not, she gonna keep it moving.
It ain't my fault I look good.
Yeah, you look good.
You do have trouble being alone.
Yeah,
and
I
that's
do.
not because you're beautiful.
Right.
That's not how you look on the outside, that's how you feel on the inside, babe.
With that mess being addressed, let's not forget that it was kids who were being neglected and taken for granted. That's why there was one way left to know where their future would land.
You are not his father.
DNA.
Are you sure? How is that possible?
Do you know who his father is?
You know who it is.
Sleep and joy can make you weep in disgust. As you can see in this case, Mr. Boston dragged the defendant into court, saying that he has undeniable proof that there's no possibility of him being the father of this trifling woman. Meanwhile, Miss Murphy asserted that she is tired of the plaintiff's lies, and she wants to stop by conducting a DNA test. moving to the plaintiffs to see to whom the DNA diagnostic will favor.
Mr. Boston, you have dragged the defendant into court today because you have undeniable proof that there is no way that you are the biological father of 10-month-old son Tristan. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Murphy, you believe the DNA results will be your proof today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So the testimony started with Mr. Boston's evidence, and the evidence was invisible. No one could see it, because his dynamic words were the solid, undeniable proof. I think something hit his mind. His words do not seem trustworthy, as he is clearly just bluffing.
What is your proof that you are not Tristan's father?
Your Honor, you have to have sex to make a baby. I don't remember even doing that well.
Lies.
You don't remember
lying.
having sex with Miss
All of a
Murphy?
sudden, why am I
He was at
finding
my
out
house
that?
all the time, every night in my bed.
It is your assertion to this court that you've never been in a sexual relationship with Miss Murphy?
I mean, I'm not denying it like that, but I'm just saying.
Here, the yes or no game begins. Let's play it with him. The defendant stated that they were in a committed relationship, but the plaintiff tried to blow off the baby mama's testimony with his dumb lies like that.
Your Honor, I
rubbed
found
my
out-
belly and everything.
I
He
found
was smiling
out that
and
She was
everything.
pregnant in the process of me being
No,
over a
no,
family member's house.
no.
That family member came and told me, well, you know somebody named Teresa? At the time, I didn't know her government name. Only thing I knew was
He's
Poop.
lying.
You've been sleeping with her for 4 months and don't know her name.
Not even her government name. Only
You
thing I
sound
know
about
was
crazy, Mr. Boston.
Oh my, who on earth is this desperate to be intimate with a girl? Man, you were sleeping with her for 4 months and you still didn't know her real name? What he is testifying is just crazy, or he's just naive.
I wasn't even at her house for 4 months.
He's lying. He's
She
lying,
would
Your
call me
Honor.
and
He's
beg me
lying.
over there
He's
every
lying.
other night.
He was at my house
Sometimes I
every
can't,
night,
'cause
sleeping
I
in the
can't
same
stay
bed.
over there alone, kicking it with them. You know, having beverages. Stayed over time, and my mama was asleep, so I couldn't get in her house. So yes, I did spend a
It
night
was
over
an
there, and I
everyday
slept
thing.
on her
It was
float
an
in her living room.
No, lying.
On with the procession of the trial, it slipped out that Miss Murphy was busy with another, but she stated the facts of her being certain regarding the baby's parentage. She told the court that when the baby was conceived, she was with Mr. Boston only.
For the period of time when I found out I was pregnant, he was the only man that I was.
No, I was
intimate
not.
with. He was the only man that I was with.
You was
together.
intimate with other guys way
No,
before.
one
'Cause there was
person
too many
after
guys
him.
that I already
After
knew
him, I
out
was-
there was telling me her
No,
name.
after him, I was
Oh,
on
how you know
intimate
her?
with one
How you
guy.
know her? How you know her? Too many guys.
To clear up the doubts, Judge Lake summoned Mr. Gregory into the court. He contended that they were sexual buddies, and upon getting news about baby mama's pregnancy, he blew everything off and blocked her instantly. I must say, this man has got some nerves. After his false actions, he is narrating them proudly.
We've determined that you, in fact, a relationship with Miss Murphy.
A sexual relationship.
Just a sexual relationship. Take me back to the day Miss Murphy told you she was pregnant.
She texted me on Facebook and told me she was pregnant. I never talked to her again. Like, deleted everything.
blocked
So I blocked her. Never
You got a message on Facebook that she was potentially pregnant by you and you deleted her?
blocked it.
However, the witness rolled up to the podium and testified in her best friend's favor. She asserted that she also knows that Mr. Boston is the father, and he's just making up stories to avoid the situation.
Who do you believe is Tristan's biological father?
Mr. Boston.
And why is that?
I was living with Teresa the whole time.
When he was saying he wasn't really coming over there that much.
Right, he was.
And he was sleeping on the floor.
He was sleeping in my bed.
Was Mr. Boston the only man coming over there within that 4-month period?
When she was saying him, he was the only man.
Things were out of control, as baby mama didn't even know who the baby daddy was. Their non-serious back-and-forth statements made Judge Lake furious, and she gave the reality check to these adults like this.
If you know you slept with more than one man during the window of conception, it is your responsibility to figure out who that child's father is. You know both of these men could be that child's father. Just because I am empowering this young woman to understand what she should have done, you all are not off the hook. Because I don't like how you all over here scowling at her when both of you lay down with her willingly.
Their ongoing discussion further fuels the whole situation, instead of helping to resolve the case. But it was quite evident that they needed to know the results for the baby, and his biological father needed to man up. So let's go get those results and see what that envelope is hiding in it.
It has been determined by this court. You are not his father. Do you know who this child's father is? As you come of age and get older, you're gonna learn that sometimes you just gotta put your big girl panties on and you got to tell the truth. And I mean this respectfully.
It must hurt when you plan something good for someone and they stab you in the back. In this case, Mr. Wilson wanted to prove to the defendant that he was not the father of her child, while Miss Dean believed otherwise and said he turned his back on her and the baby. And now his denial is hurting them. So to get the closure, we need a DNA test.
Mr. Wilson, you've opened your case to prove that Miss Dean's 17-month-old daughter, Jakaya, is not your biological child.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Dean, you say Mr. Wilson has turned his back on your daughter and he welcomed her into the world and signed her birth certificate. And his denial is hurting you and your daughter. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
The plaintiff said the reason he didn't accept the baby yet and wanted the results. Miss Dean said he was lying and shocked the court with their foolish plans that worked out very badly in the end.
I don't believe I'm the father because I have been fooled by multiple females in the past. I have been going down this rodeo for far too long. I signed on a birth certificate. I'm not there physically. I just can't handle it because she just no consistency. I just want answers today so I can have closure.
So you saying you've been fooled twice, but you're not gonna be fooled again?
Correct, Your Honor.
Mr. Wilson explained his relationship with the defendant and told the plans they had regarding the baby. By far, the story seems fine until the plaintiff commented about the resemblance of the baby. Yeah, an X popped up.
The time I was taking care of my stepfather, had my own house, car, working, things of that nature. We decided to meet up, and we met up. We actually planned the baby. The baby was just not a coincidence. She knew what I've been through in the past with not having kids and how desperately I wanted to have a kid. She was willing to go through with it with me.
And I did.
And
you don't see the baby?
Then, I see the baby, but I don't see me in the baby. I see the X in the baby.
The plaintiff said that he was unsure about the paternity because of the inconsistent lies of Miss Dean. But the defendant denied the accusations and told the events of pregnancy. Well, we're not sure who's a better liar.
Miss Dean, when you found out you were pregnant, take me to that day.
I had my period in February. We conceived in March.
When you found out you were pregnant,
I called him. He was acting like he was happier than 2 jaybirds.
All right, so you called Mr. Wilson and he was happy.
Yes. When the baby came out, you couldn't tell him that wasn't his kid at all.
Okay.
The judge asked for Mr. Wilson's involvement during the pregnancy and childbirth, and he thoroughly admitted all of his responsibilities. So far, things look good. But where did it go wrong?
So you were there at the birth?
Yes, I was.
Did you go to doctor's appointments for the baby
She
too?
never followed through with it.
But at the birth, you came.
I came.
And you cut the umbilical cord?
I did 1, 2, 3.
Did you sign the birth certificate?
Yes, I did.
So you accepted this baby as your own?
I did.
And at that time when you did that, you believed you were the father?
Didn't have no doubts.
The plaintiff explained the time when things started taking the wrong direction. After the accusations against the defendant, she called him a liar and started crying about her sole responsibilities for the kid. Girl, how can a man support you if you cheat on him?
And in the mix of us being in a relationship, she's getting bigger. She's whispering, I hear echoes. She's always in a different room of the apartment. And I'm like, why you never around the kids? She said, I can't talk now because my ex is here. And why is he there 11 o'clock at night if the kids got school in the morning?
And he knew exactly what was going on. With that other guy, he just don't want to take responsibility and be a man and stand up.
Upon being asked about the paternity issue, Mr. Wilson said he didn't have any doubts until he confronted her ex and embarrassed himself by finding out the dirty ways she was playing with him. Well, now she's in trouble.
I didn't have doubt until
Insecure.
she's told me I didn't have sex with him. He's just laying on the couch. Okay, I went with that. When I ran into him at the bus stop, I said, this is coincidence. What's the story in his end? If it add up to what she's telling me, then I have no doubts. I asked him, I said, is y'all having a child together? He's like, yeah. I said, what y'all supposed to be having? He said, a little girl. He went into details. So that fueled my doubt.
The judge then asked the plaintiff why he signed the birth certificate. He shocked the court by sharing Miss Dean's weird behavior when he had the baby to himself for a few days. Now this woman appears crazy.
When the baby was born, it was so light and bright. I was like, he's so dark, she's dark. It's no way he's the father. She was like, bring me back my baby, because I was telling her, it's not your baby, it's his baby. Like the Byron.
I said,
he was like, that's right, that's my baby, bring back my baby.
The defendant fought back his claims and shared the reason behind her cold words to Mr. Wilson. In a minute, she threw a heartless accusation at him.
He had the baby trying to take the baby so he can be with someone else. He used me, baby.
She watched too many Lifetime,
No,
Your Honor.
he used me, Your Honor. He proposed to me, told me that we were gonna get married, moved in together. He lied, took the baby, tried to move away. He had the baby in his care. He never took her because I gave her to him.
Now, Mr. Wilson's witness stepped in and shared her stance on this confusing story, and also recalled Miss Dean's crazy behavior at her home. The defendant's double-sidedness is clearly shown here.
She came to my home
Lying.
looking for my brother with her family, throwing things at my window. Bring me back my baby. That's
y'all
not
took
his
my baby and wouldn't tell me where y'all was at.
She told my family, I wasn't home at the moment. She said, I heard her family said, that's not his baby. Where that baby at? Where that baby at? That's not his baby. How he gonna take a baby that's not his?
The defendant confronted the accusations and repeatedly said that they were lying. Well, now only a DNA test can give the closure they want.
I tell you, we have no contact. I don't even got Gennaro number now. He is lying.
But my point is, has it ever been stated that Jakaya is not his child?
Not by me.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Wilson, you are not the father.
2 family members came to the hospital and told me that's not my kid.
Which family members of whom? Her family members, yours?
Hers.
Hers? Who?
Your mother.
Were you sending naked pictures to your ex while you were living in his house and saying he was your boyfriend?
I was. They had broken up. In 2 weeks, she was gone. And the next week, she came back to Your Honor, and now they're telling me that she was pregnant. And you want me to say, well, okay?
Ms. Henny cheated on her partner, Mr. Fye, with his childhood best friend. And now Mr. Fye wants to know if the 2 children he had with Ms. Henny belongs to him or belongs to his brother from another mother. Of course, this has traumatized Mr. Fye endlessly, and you can see the trauma in his face as he talks about it.
Your Honor, these kids, they call me daddy every day. Kind of hurts me because as they got older, kids don't look like me.
They do look exactly like
They don't look like me. I mean, Nathan, he's got different futures than what I have. And, little Sammy, he kind of looks more like Nathan too. They both look alike. And, little Sammy's got my full name, except for he's the 4th. And I don't think it's right.
Wow, that is very painful. And then Mr. Fye explains how his partner, Ms. Henny, cheated on him with his friend just because he was gone for 45 days. Can you imagine the anguish this poor man must be feeling right now?
People, even friends, told me that she was messing around with a guy from the neighborhood.
We were not messing around.
That's not what my friends told me. But when I confronted the gentleman about it, he came, I was on the phone with him, and he told me they did mess around twice. Well, when I confronted her about it, she denied it. So I had him on the cell phone. And then when I confronted her with the cell phone with him on it, she started crying, and then she admitted to me she cheated on me once.
So yes, Ms. Henny admitted to cheating on her boyfriend, but that is not where it ended. She also says it only happened about 2 months before she got pregnant. But would you believe her? Would you believe anything a cheating partner told you? Mr. Fye clearly does not believe that, and he has his reasons.
Mr. Fye, you don't seem to be buying that.
No, Your Honor.
Why?
Because I've caught recent text messages in her phone of her talking to her ex-boyfriends. And, we've been together for 6 years on and off. And every time we've split up, we wasn't even split up a week or 2, and she was already messing around with some other guy.
All right, so you have doubts surrounding both children.
Those sound like good reasons for doubting if your kids are really yours. But then Mr. Fye decides to become a physiognomy expert and starts measuring skulls to explain why he thinks Ms. Henny's children are not his, which made him sound like a certain mustached German.
I have an oval-shaped head, okay, Your Honor? My ears are close to my head. He has a block head. I mean, his ears have a dip in them. I don't have none of them.
I'm sorry, but I have dips in my ears. He has my ears.
I don't have big ears like he does. His sticks out more, and he has that block head. I don't have a block head. Mine's more of an oval shape, like an egg.
So you're saying your head is an oval shape?
Yes, Your Honor.
Looks like Judge Lauren Lake is not buying that either. Anyway, let the judge ask the real question that has been on everyone's mind since this case started. And it is simple.
Ms. Henny, how did you end up sleeping with your boyfriend's close friend?
Our kids hung out. When he went away for that 45 days, we were hanging out with our kids, and it didn't start out that way, but it's just one thing led to another, and
45 days is only a month and a half.
Yeah.
So were you all in a good relationship when he went away?
I mean, not really.
Exactly right, Judge. Exactly right. If it takes just 45 days of being apart from your woman for her to jump in another person's bed, then you have got something else coming. So let us ask another burning question.
This friend was over with the kids. One thing led to another. You say you slept with him. How many times?
Once.
He told me twice.
He confessed this to you?
Yes, Your Honor. I suspected them messing around because I was gone, and him and his girlfriend had split up right before I left too. But when I asked her, she told me, I went over and set up a play date. I told her I didn't know setting up a play date is what you guys call it nowadays.
Well, that is some play date, you'd say. Anyway, Mr. Fye says he believes that his friend Nadahan is the father of both children and that Ms. Henny slept with this friend multiple times to make both babies. That is insane, but Ms. Henny denies it. However, Mr. Fye has evidence.
And why do you know she's lying?
Because, the guy told me he messed around with her twice already.
Because he said twice. You think it's...
And he's never lied to me in the past before. And then when I was, when we split up, that's who she ran back to. 3 weeks after him and her, got done, me and her got back together, and That's when she said she was pregnant with Sammy.
There was like a 2-month difference between any pregnancy and me cheating on him.
Ms. Henny insists that Mr. Phi is the father, but Mr. Phi is not buying that story at all. Ms. Henny also has her evidence that the kids belong to Mr. Phi, and you could never guess what that evidence is.
I have their birth certificates that he signed.
I'd like to see those. Jerome?
She cheated on me 4 times, Your
It was
Honor.
not 4 times, it was 1
4
time.
times?
4 times.
1 time.
So these are the birth certificates for the children. The first, Nathan James Phi, father's name, Samuel John Phi III. The second child, Samuel John Phi IV, father Samuel John Phi III.
Really? 4 times? Really? And a birth certificate cannot be evidence that a man is the biological father of a child when there is a credible paternity doubt. So Ms. Henny is just flat out wrong on this one. Anyway, let us get to the bottom of this case and find out if Mr. Phi is really the father of both of these kids.
Mr. Phi, you are the father.
Who does it look like who?
Mr. Phi, you are the father.
Change what name?
Did you have sexual intercourse with anyone other? You said no. The lie detector determined that you were being truthful.
Ms. James says that she asked Mrs. Beversdorf to take a DNA test 3 times to prove that she is the mother of her deceased son's Darley's child, but Ms. Bevsdorf refused. Therefore, she is certain that Mrs. Beversdorf is a liar and that Dakari is not really her grandchild. Of course, this denial has affected Ms. Beversdorf a lot.
They don't accept him. They don't accept me. I'm just ready for him to have acceptance, love. I want it to be real, not fake. I want him to, you know what I'm saying, just feel like that's all family. Everybody's family, not just my side, not just their side. I want it to be genuine. And I just know once I get these test results, it will be genuine. And everybody will really know the truth. I want him to know and to really have proof that that is his father. I'd never want him to doubt that.
Okay, Ms. James, let us hear from you. Ms. James insists that Ms. Beversdorf was always fighting with her son, and they were always breaking up, and she constantly saw other people outside of her son. But Ms. Beversdorf argues that this was a lie.
I've never been seen with anybody else. I've never been with anybody else.
You haven't been seen with anybody else, but when you were living in the house with us, you were gone. You're gone 2 weeks, and I'm like, where's Kayla?
No, I was gone 2 weeks.
Where?
With my
someone
sister,
else?
at my sister's house.
And when my
Wasn't with
son came
anybody
to
else.
your house, she came outside to talk to him, but she wouldn't let him in the house, and she made him leave.
Wow. Okay, Ms. Beversdorf says that she dated Daryl for 4.5 years before having his baby, but Ms. James here insists that something like that never happened. You kind of get the feeling that Ms. James here really does not like Ms. Beversdorf. Here is how she says she found out that Ms. Beversdorf was even pregnant.
They had broken up. In 2 weeks, she was gone, and then she came back the next week, and
I was
her
already
and my
pregnant,
son,
Your Honor. I was already
and the
pregnant.
next week she came back, Your Honor, and now they're telling me that she was pregnant. And you want me to say, well, okay?
I was already pregnant when me and him split up for the 2 weeks.
But I mean, respectfully, how does Miss James know that? She leaves for a couple of weeks, come back and telling me she's pregnant.
Oh. Okay then, moving on. Ms. Beversdorf says that Daryl always believed that the child was his, but Ms. James disputes this because somehow Daryl did not sign the birth certificate with his name on it. If he truly believed the child was his, would that happen? Really? This is getting really confusing. And here is what Ms. James thinks.
You missed the birth certificate signing, but she's gonna come back to our room for you to sign it. He said, okay. By that time, we were so excited bringing in the new baby. We didn't even remember about the birth certificate.
I asked him prior, almost 2 weeks to him dying, to sign that birth certificate because
she didn't know when he was gonna die.
I didn't.
She did not know.
I'm just saying. I wanted,
So
and you
2
know
weeks
that I
prior,
told
that
him.
Well, that is not a great sight. Imagine the young boy at the center of all this, growing up and watching his mother argue with his potential grandmother this way. Anyway, the point of the argument is that Daryl expressed doubts that the child was his. And then Ms. James drops a bomb on the court by saying this.
For the simple fact of now I have tried to get DNA 3 times.
She never tried 3 times.
Yes, I have, Your Honor. You know why she don't know
She
about 3
never
times?
tried to get no DNA
because she
test.
never shows up.
She never
What happened?
went nowhere. We never even had that as
I
an
didn't have to meet
option.
you nowhere.
She never
I told
called.
you where
She
the
never
place
said
was.
anything.
Miss James, take me through each time.
If this is true, then it becomes super likely that the baby does not belong to Daryl and instead belongs to another man. Because think about it, why would he refuse to sign the birth certificate? Absolutely no reason. Anyway, Judge Lauren wants to know about these 3 times, and Ms. James is very happy to spill.
The first time that I recall telling Kayla about getting the DNA, my son
had crossed over. He had died. In the process of him dying, Your Honor, 2 weeks, I told her to go get his Social Security. We went down there. They told us we needed a DNA so that we can prove that he was his because he didn't sign the birth certificate.
Miss Beversdorf denies that this happened and says that if she denied the DNA test, why would she come to paternity court then? And that is a great question, except for the tiny fact that liars come to paternity court all the time. Then both women start arguing and screaming at each other again.
When are you all coming home?
They were never supposed to go to Omaha. They were supposed
But
to go
you
to
knew
St.
I wanted to
Louis,
go see my
Missouri.
brother.
They were never supposed to go to
So,
Omaha.
Your Honor?
She kept my son for like 2.5 weeks.
I surely did.
On that Sunday.
I surely did,
that
Your
she
Honor.
brought him.
I
Either she
surely
was going to
did.
bring me my child Sunday or I was going to call.
You did call the police on us.
No, I didn't. You don't even have a case. If I would have called the police, you would have a case against you.
No matter how you look at it, all of this is just nasty. And somehow, it even gets worse because believe it or not, these women live in the same house. That is right, the same house. And here is how Ms. James explains it.
She lives with me in my home. And when she came in the
She lives with you now?
Yes!
Whoa!
Temporarily.
Miss James, why did you take Miss Beversdorf in if you don't believe Dakari is your son's biological child?
By God's law.
It don't have nothing to do with that.
Wow, let us get down to it and figure out the truth. Is Daryl the father or someone else? Let us see what the DNA test has to say about this absolutely insane case. Who is the real father? Judge Lauren has an answer.
The percentage of relatedness between Mrs. Jacqueline James and Dakari is 99%. You are related.
I'm sorry, Kayla. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Mr. Jalek caught Ms. Tillis sending naked pictures to other men while they were together, so he is absolutely certain that he is not the father of her child. Asides that, he also has medical evidence proving that the child is not his. In the meantime, Mr. Jalek has abandoned the child and done nothing for him. Here is how Ms. Tillis says it.
The day my son was born, he has done nothing for my child.
Nothing?
Nothing at all.
Not a dollar?
Not a dollar.
Tell the court what that has been like for you.
I'm struggling. I have to do it all by myself. I'm not working right now.
So precious. Miss Tillis, I know this has been difficult. I can only imagine. I'm a mother. 2 months in, you are still dealing with postpartum issues.
This sounds sad, but Mr. Jalek does not really care. To him, this child is not his, and he refuses to do anything for the child. He says he does not want to take up another man's responsibilities.
Mr. Jalek, did you turn your back on the baby?
No, Your Honor. Basically, we had a conversation, and like I told her, I refused to take up the next man's slack for a child that's not mine. We wasn't even having relations when she got pregnant.
So, what was the nature of your relationship?
We were having sex because we got history.
Apparently, Mr. Jalek was only sleeping with Ms. Tillis. And as we all know, once you are only sleeping with someone, it is against the law for that person to get pregnant. Great argument, Mr. Jalek. Ms. Tillis used to braid our man's hair, and Mr. Jalek used to sleep with her. It was simply braiding with benefits. That is literally what they called it.
So this started a committed relationship? You met?
I thought it was a committed
Did you date or you just braided his hair and then decided I'm moving in?
Thank you. Braiding with benefits.
So obviously
it's not
you
like
all had a relationship. If she was over there all the time, Mr. Jalek.
We had a situationship. The situation was she was an in-house braider, but at the same time, even back then.
And now they have to negotiate the potential result of that braiding with benefits in paternity court. This went on for 2 whole years, by the way. Anyway, Mr. Jalek gets to the point of why he thinks this baby does not belong to him, and it is bonkers.
Why am I looking at your phone and you got nude pictures going to your ex?
Miss Tillis, were you sending naked pictures to your ex while you were living in his house and saying he was your boyfriend? She was also having sex with someone else during the window of time that Jaden's was conceived.
It's very possible, Your Honor, because I said we've been doing this off and on since 2011.
So there are 2 issues. First, why is Mr. Jalek angry that his braider with benefits is also giving some other chap benefits? And 2, so Ms. Tillis admits that she slept with another man while she was in this situationship? What? Anyway, Ms. Tillis clarifies that point for us.
During the window of time when Jaden's was conceived, were you all intimate during that time?
Yes, this is the time where we were working together. We were on and off.
So you and your ex rekindled your relationship or friendship, whatever it was?
It was a friendship. We weren't never.
But you started having sex with him as well?
Yes, but it was just one time, and we used protection.
So say.
Well, that is a very weird sort of friendship, wouldn't you say? I don't know about you, but Ms. Tillis is not looking good here at all. But Mr. Jalek has even more evidence to prove that he isn't this baby's father. And it is the strangest sort of evidence we have ever seen on paternity court.
My father, myself, and my 3 sons all have what the old folk call a wisdom hole in our right ear at the top. We're born with it. It's a handsome child that she has, but he doesn't have the trait that me, my father, nor my sons have.
It's a pre-auricular sinus. Pre-auricular sinuses in the United States is estimated to be 0 to 0.9%.
And then we get a shocking confession from Ms. Tillis. She once insisted that Mr. Jalek is the only possibility, but now it seems like there could be at least one more possibility. Here is how she puts it.
So you did mess with the other guy at the end of October?
Yes.
So why, when I asked you, did you think he was a possibility, you said no?
Because we used protection. It wasn't, I messed with him in October too. The beginning of February.
And the first conception date they gave you was October 25th?
Yeah, but she wasn't accurate because she didn't know. I asked her, do she know when I conceived?
Okay, that is a bit confusing. The DNA test is the only thing that can bring this case to an end and tell us for certain if the father of this child is Mr. Jalek. And it is time for Judge Lauren to read that test out for us.
Mr. Jalek, you are the father. How does that make you feel, Ms. Tillis?
I'm happy.
Are you?
But I'm emotional at the same time because I went through a lot when I was pregnant.
We could tell.
I apologize.
Ms. Hernandez is in her mid-30s and she loves sleeping with younger men. Today she has dragged one of her younger lovers, who she got married to court to make him take responsibility for her 3-year-old daughter. But this man says that he knows for a fact that Ms. Hernandez was sleeping with another younger man who is his friend, so he cannot be the child's father, and he is also here in court with his girlfriend. Here is their opening interaction.
But you do not believe this is your biological child?
Yes, Your Honor.
Look at her. Look at your 3-year-old daughter that you haven't been there in 3 years.
All right, so pretty much this child is being at least emotionally abandoned. There's some need that she's calling out for and she's getting no response.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, in the court papers, you say you thought you met the man of your dreams. He was a younger man, but you thought he was the man of your dreams.
That is so sad. So here's the thing. Mr. and Mrs. Hernandez once had a great relationship and loved each other very much. But very soon, things started falling apart in the weirdest ways. Here is how it all went wrong.
I kicked him out after we had a big argument, and then 2 days later, I told him that I was pregnant with my daughter.
Mr. Hernandez, what is your account?
When we first got together, before she got pregnant, before I found out she was pregnant, I was gone for 2 weeks.
Okay, Mr. Hernandez says that something else happened. He says when he heard that Ms. Hernandez was pregnant, he was told something else that made him start doubting if she was really pregnant with his baby.
I was told that her ex was in the bed.
Someone told you her ex was in your bed?
Yes.
Who? While you're out fishing?
Yes.
Who told you that?
A family member.
A family member of yours or hers?
Mine.
How would they know who I had in my bed?
They seen him.
Yeah, coming out of the house because you and him are friends.
And
you know
that's not
everything.
Her. That's not
you
him.
You know that he was at my house.
It is
even
not
when
him.
you were
I'm
there
not talking
too.
about him.
Basically, Mr. Hernandez is friends with Ms. Hernandez's ex and believes that he is the father of the baby because he slept with Ms. Hernandez while he was away. And he has one more jaw-dropping point to make.
Ms. Hernandez was sleeping with her ex while you were out on this fishing boat.
Yes. And she's even told me when we were separated from the house that she had her ex in the bed.
Nope, that was
She admitted she had her ex in the bed?
Yes, Your Honor. On the phone, she told me that her ex was in the bed.
No.
Wow. Ms. Hernandez says that this ex only comes to her house to speak with her mother, which makes things more weird and not less weird. And this happened throughout their relationship. Gosh. Anyway, Ms. Hernandez sheds more light on this weird relationship she has going on.
This ex is coming in and out of your house frequently, but you say it's to visit your mother.
To visit my mother, yes. Because my mother is like his mother. So, and my ex is young.
You like him young, huh?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
I know that's right. Say it loud and say it proud.
Wow, she really likes them young. Ms. Hernandez says that Mr. Hernandez was really happy about the pregnancy at first, but he changed his mind after the baby was born. And Mr. Hernandez says he has a really good reason for that.
I was happy at first, but then after the pregnancy at the hospital, that is when everything
After
changed.
the birth at the hospital?
Yes, Your Honor.
What happened at the birth?
2 family members came to the hospital and told me that's not my kid.
Two family members of whom? Her family members, yours?
Hers.
Hers?
Who?
Your mother.
Oh, wait. Because my mama doesn't like you.
Well, if your wife's mother tells you that the child your wife just had is not yours, you would be right to start thinking that maybe the child is not actually really yours. But Ms. Hernandez says this is a total lie. The fact that Ms. Hernandez also did not give the baby Mr. Hernandez's last name made him doubt that the child was his.
He wanted me to name her his last name. I didn't want to. Just in case something like this happened, like he denied her.
There you go.
So, Mr. Hernandez, you believe she kept your name off that birth certificate because she knew you weren't the biological father?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, now that is just weird. Anyway, the results are in, and it is time to see who has been telling the truth. Mr. Hernandez or Ms. Hernandez? Let us find out who the father of this beautiful 3-year-old is.
Mr. Hernandez, you are the father. Told you. Do you feel a level of remorse and regret because you've pretty much missed 3 years of her life?
Yes.
She's talking. She knows her colors.
And you never called me?
I'm not calling you. No, we're not doing this. What you're not gonna do is do this.